Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 380 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports Podcast family. How's it going, everyone? We are coming to you from lovely Canada this episode. We've had a very eventful week in the NHL. There's much to chat about, but we have to say hello to the fellas first. I'm going to break tradition, go to Paul Biz Nasty Bissonette first because he's right next to me here in Toronto.
Well, and my home country.
Although
it took me 17 hours to get through customs, worst custom line in the history of custom lines. It's great to be here. We also a couple clicks for Murls. This will be his first official full pod with us, and the fact that he's what you're going to say in Vegas,
in Detroit. After the first Chiclets.
Yeah. Sorry. So first with actually having a voice and being coherent. So I'm very excited. The reason that we're here is obviously because of the whole Score Bet app launching. We had the party on Monday night, so we would have already recorded this. Leafs Lightning, going to be tons of prop bets, tons of fun stuff going on at Rendezvous. And a word has it, 1,500 people are going to be coming?
That's what we're shooting for.
Ooh, wow.
So I'm excited to be home. It's a quick in and out, but I'm leaving tomorrow to go back to Turner, TNT, back to Atlanta.
Yeah, the Score.bet, the app is launching, it launched Monday, April 4th here in Canada. If you live in Ontario, if you like to play games of chance, by all means, download it, check it out. We all like to gamble on the show here, so if you're in Ontario, by all means, start gambling. But our boy Murls, you've joined us as well. Welcome. You came all the way from Sweden.
Yeah, any chance to get to Canada. I don't care what I have to do to travel to get here. I'll get through here. But like Biz said, the hardest part was the customs line when I got here.
How do you boys fly into Pearson? You guys are veterans. How do you don't go to Billy Bishop? I was shocked that you guys didn't fly into Billy Bishop.
I don't even know if that's an option from Atlanta. I don't even know what Billy Bishop is.
that airfield right out the window.
Oh, RA's flying private with.
Yeah, right.
On the Chiclets card.
No, RA's flying into an airport that I think only a couple cities can fly into. Like, there's no chance you can get there from Sweden, and there's no chance you can get there from Atlanta, so they didn't really have the option.
Okay, all right. Was not aware of that. I apologize.
But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I already made the Tim Hortons run. I got the Harvey's run planned for later. I love being in Canada. Just happy to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Any other Canadian staples that you have to hit up while you're here?
Did you see my blog where I did my top 10 things Ontario? So that had a few of them in there. Harvey's was there. A Coffee Crisp, the candy bar, is one of my all-time favorites. I got to get in, and just the poutine. I just want to
love poutine.
I want to eat so much poutine these next couple of days.
It's a family show.
He's married. All right.
All right. Producer Mikey Granelli, let's go to you. Shift it over.
Love Toronto. Love Canada. Love the Score Bet app. But, Murls, I would love to hear about your new pro hockey career.
It was amazing. I got to thank Biz for it. Biz signed me to the Big Deal Selects, and I wouldn't say I played well out there, but it made me realize that I was out of shape, that I still had competitiveness in me. So when the opportunity came to go back in Sweden and play, it was awesome. We're just finishing up. We won our league, and we were trying to get promoted to the top, to the next higher division, and we struggled out of the gates, and we're 1-3, so it doesn't look like we're going to move up. But I'll get back next weekend, and if the game matters, I'll jump in for one last game.
Do you guys have like a guy who's the team trainer, athletic therapist, massage guy?
He's also the goalie.
Go all in one?
There's two equipment guys. One guy does basically all the skate sharpening, and then we got another guy that helps out with like the water bottles and stuff. And that we keep it as pro as you can. It's a very limited budget, but I get paid in basically sticks. I got a couple free sticks.
So you don't get paid other than just free beer?
Yeah, no cash. I got sticks. I got new laces the other day, which I was pretty happy about.
Maybe we should get him a Pink Whitney sponsorship for the crew. Maybe we can get him some Traxedos, maybe a little bit of spending money, maybe gambling money.
Well, that's the funniest thing is that it's very loose. One of the bigger things is I've noticed they keep the radio on in between every intermission. Like, the radio is on, like our pro hockey, it's silent, and, guys are supposed to be getting focused. The music's going. The phones are out. Guys are checking their bets from the other leagues. We're openly talking about it in between our games. So it's a little more relaxed than we're used to.
Whit, he's going to be the Pete Rose of the third division. He's going to get caught throwing games.
Well, Pete Rose bet on his team to win, so Murls actually would be even worse if he started betting against his team and chucking pizzas up the middle.
Some of the plays I made, you might have thought that I bet against us, but it was just I'm really rusty. I was really surprised.
Speaking of guy throwing pizzas in Sweden, Whit, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. That's a great little what's the word?
Segue.
What a segue that was.
Yeah,
I threw about 14 of them in 4 periods, and that was it. Not much, boys. Murls, I couldn't believe the skating stride, though. You released the one video in punishment of yourself for finally missing a boost. I think you hit 5 boosts in a row, and then when you missed one, you did a mountain. Blue line back, red line back, blue line back, far goal line back. Dude, you looking, the stride's looking better than it was 10, 15 years ago.
It does.
It was the most shocking part. I thought it would be my legs and my breath and like in my wind. That would be the hardest thing to come back, but it was actually my hands. My hands were gone. I couldn't stick handle. I had no strength to shoot the puck, but my legs felt great. The stride felt great, but everything else was gone.
Your breath is sometimes really kicking on these Chiclets trips, so I could understand why you thought that might be an issue. And some people said to me, how is he playing pro hockey? I watched the Chiclets Cup in Vegas. He was running around like he had an enormous dump in his pants, just waddling around. I'm like, yeah, skating's a little different. He's never been a runner. His legs are too thick.
Those are the hemorrhoids from all the squirts from all the booze. But if you take like 2 weeks off of not handling a puck, even when you played, when you got back on the ice, it felt like you were stick handling a dumbbell, right?
Or a righty stick if you were a lefty. Legit, it's crazy. You just lose all sort of feel.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it was, and I kept changing like the length of my stick. I'm like, oh, it must be too long. Oh no, it's too short. What's the lie on this thing?
I did that my entire career. I don't think I had the same type of stick for more than like 6 months.
They were making the sticks at CCM Factory. They're like, oh, we messed this one up. It's a different lie. Like, it's a Bissonette. Just send it.
Diz, this is my first time in this country since I was here in December on my secret mission. I can finally talk about it.
What were you here for?
I was here recording my part on a TV show that's going to be coming out in the next couple months. You guys have heard of Letterkenny, the Canadian super show. It's been on Hulu. Americans latched onto it. Well, there's a spinoff that's dropping called Shoresy based on one of the characters from Letterkenny. And thanks to my producer, Mikey Grinelli, and the folks Letterkenny, I was able to appear on a couple episodes of the show Shoresy that's going to be dropping.
Not a big deal.
Not a big deal at all. I don't have a date yet, but stay tuned. It's going to be coming soon. I'm playing a role, basically a version of myself. I'm going to be in 2 episodes. So, yeah, I'm going to be on Shoresy dropping this spring on Hulu and Crave here in Canada. So.
RA's going to be leaving us. He's leaving us for Hollywood, folks. Yeah. Now, there's a strong chance that at least half of our fan base has watched Letterkenny. And the Shoresy character was much like the one in... What's the show, Tim the Toolman Taylor?
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. There was a guy, the neighbor.
Oh, like Wilson?
Wilson, you never saw him. So in the show, in Letterkenny, this Shoresy guy, you never saw his face. So what they decided to do was a spinoff of that character. And all right, you're going to be in episode 1 right off the hop. So you're coming in high stepping out of the gate. What do you mean?
Well, I'm not sure how much detail I can give other than I don't want to spoil too much. But yeah, I am in the first episode. In one other episode after that. I just, I want to keep a little mystery to it. You know what I mean?
Okay, as long as they're not going to cut your parts and then we're all going to be let down.
No, they ain't. No, I ain't getting cut. I'm no cutting room floor for this one.
So,
all takes exposed.
So we talked to Murls about his experience in playing men's league back in Sweden. Mm-hmm. What was it like with the acting gig? Like when you got there, were you super nervous? What was the setup like? What were your expectations going in? How did it turn out?
I got there very enthusiastic, very excited. I was playing, like I said, myself, or I should say an exaggerated version of myself.
So you were nervous and skittish?
Not until the night before. I got there, I was, yeah. And then the night before, I got an 11-page script. Now, it's not a David Fincher movie. You got to remember every period and, space and all that stuff. It's a little more free form. So the night before, one of the other actors came, or former hockey players turned actors came to my room, and we ran all the lines through. And it was so reassuring. It put me at ease. And he said, Jared Kiso, who's the showrunner, the brains behind all of it, he says, hey, just use the script as a jumping off point. In other words, make the same point in your own words. I was like, oh, this is great. So I was actually able to write some of my own jokes and lines, and they made the show too, which is fucking awesome for like a guy like me.
If I could just chime in, I spoke to some of the producers who said, and he said, R.A. completely impressed everyone on set, came extremely well prepared, and they were actually shocked how good he did.
His rider list was a bag of blow, and that's it.
I'm not hungry. Just,
They're like, do you need your strip? No.
All right, what's with the typewriter jaw? I thought you wanted me to play myself. But hey, congratulations! I'm excited to see it, man, and I'm sure that show is going to pop. I mean, those guys are doing some great things, and they're going to keep running. I mean, as far as like the Canadian acting scene, like they're at the top of the totem pole, and of course, adding Terry Ryan in the mix, who's had experience in the Canadian acting situation as well. Like Terry Ryan was acting with that Jason Momoa and stuff.
Yeah, Aquaman. Yeah, I guess he's a Chiclets guy too. That's what.
Get out of here.
That's what T.I. told me. Uncle T said he got him into Chiclets. So
he was at was it not the Grammys, the Oscars. I know we talked about the Will Smith slap, but him and that Kate Beckinsale were kind of playing little tummy sticks there.
She was my number one forever. The movie Serendipity, I've watched it about 4,000 times because of
just cranking yourself off.
Only, 100%. All right, were you like 3 hours late to rehearsal because you were playing yourself?
I think that went over my head. Why am I late a lot? Like,
no, it's just you playing yourself usually, just a little behind. But
I
get
you. The only guy I really like when I got there, the only guy I had to impress was Jared. So when he come up, like G said, he come over and said I exceeded his expectations. Like the internet's gonna roast me either way. I'm gonna get memed and gift from here to like fucking Calgary and back. But I don't care because like the showrunner was the only guy I had him satisfied, and he was thoroughly satisfied. So I can't wait till it drops. It's gonna be a
couple
lot of fun.
Clicks for RA, folks. Let's go here. So we got Murls and RA off the hop. I love this.
You've always wanted to be in the acting game, so I think that you're now actually in a show that could pop off in Canada. I love it. Can you watch that? Can people in the States watch that show?
Yeah, it's going to be on Crave up here in Canada and Hulu back in the States.
Nice.
So yeah, everybody can check it out.
That is nuts.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild too. It's kind of funny. I've seen a couple clips, and yeah, it's going to be fun when it drops. I'm going to be getting sued left and right. I can't wait.
Quickly before we get into the intense hockey talk, because we have some great subjects to kick off this show. How excited are you for Tiger at the Masters on a scale of 1 to 10?
11. I mean, it just adds such a bigger element to the entire week. This is my favorite sporting event. Actually, I say the Ryder Cup is. That's every other year. The Masters is where it's at. I'll be sitting around Thursday to Sunday. Actually, I'll be sitting around because all day they pretty much have coverage. To have him there, which he hasn't officially said he's playing, but apparently yesterday he was out there just pounding the ball. His swing looks incredible. He looks pretty yoked right now. I think it's just great for the game. I mean, if this guy were to come back and actually compete or win, I don't think he would play unless he thought he could win as well. So I'll say this. I think every player who's going into this year's Masters, say like a guy like Scotty Scheffler or Justin Thomas, guys who are like, I can win this week, when they heard Tiger's going to be there, they had a little poop.
You think
come out of their
they puckered?
And their diaper got a little gross.
They puckered up?
And they're like, oh, just the seeing the tweet, I'm heading down to Augusta. They all just shit.
Like
just
Murls, last man back in Sweden in the men's league.
No, yeah, it's like Witt rounding the net with nobody near him, panicking in Ornskold.
We actually ran into Rasmus Sandin last night when we were out for dinner, and he said that he played for that team where you ended up throwing that pizza. You were there for 4 games, correct?
No, I was there. I was there for 2 regular season games. Orabo the first road game. Orabo, or actually I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the names of the teams. But the second game, the first home game was where it was -3 first period and retired at intermission.
Yeah, I think he said he was in the junior team.
I went into the coach. I said, he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "I'm done." He's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm retired." But can I stay on the bench for the rest of the game?
Okay, so you were a good teammate and you sat on the bench.
Oh, yeah. I was cheering everyone and I was taking it all in. This is the end. And I was actually gripping my hockey stick like a golf club a little bit. Like, I'll be home in 23 hours.
Oh, man.
Speaking of Tiger, you throwing anything on him for a future? I saw 55-1 the other day.
So, I gotta look. Okay. I'm more of a tourney matchup guy. I take guys against somebody else for an entire week because it's just so hard to hit a winner. You know what I'm pissed off? I missed at one point last week. He was -220 to play in the tournament. So I should have just hammered that and said, all right, I think he's gonna make it. But no, I haven't looked at the betting odds, but I'm so jealous I'm not there with you guys. The score bet. What an amazing experience this is gonna be. And before we get to the hockey, Grinelli or Biz, maybe you're the Canadian. Could you never bet? Because you could gamble in Canada. I remember playing there. But what was the difference between now and then? Like, what could you gamble on a few years back?
Yeah. Oh, Murls has
I know. They had the pro line. It was called Forever since we were little kids in the youth hockey.
Yeah. What was that?
And it had to be parlays. You always had to do, I think, 3-team parlays was the only way to do it. So now you're allowed to do single game bets for the first time.
Oh,
so that's the big difference.
All right. Well, the score bet, that's an amazing experience you guys are going to have, and I can't wait to get up there and at some point enjoy Canada.
All right, we got a pair of guests. Obviously, we're going to get to a little bit later. Carolina Hurricane Jordan Martinook joined us, as well as our old pal Jeremy Roenick. We haven't spoken to him for a little while, so we're going to get to those a little bit later. Of course, we want to mention it's crunch time for the regular season, and if your team is stressing you out, then unwind with some smooth Pink Whitney from New Amsterdam Vodka. And if your team's already in a playoff spot, then celebrate that with some Pink Whitney. Have some as a chilled shot or go to your local bar, have a little club soda with it. Either way, enjoy the 5 times distilled vodka infused with fresh pink lemonade flavor, brought to you by our boy Ryan Whitney.
Or if your team's going on a run late in the season, even though you've been out of playoffs since Christmas, and you want to celebrate, enjoy some Pink Whitney.
How about Beebs rocking the Pink Whitney beanie to the Grammys last night?
Not a big deal. What'd you make of that, Whit?
I had all these texts and like Instagrams were like, holy shit, do you know the amount of money in marketing this is? I was like, yeah, that's a Photoshop. One of the best jobs Memes has ever done. When I saw the pink toque, I said, just put Pink Whitney on there. And he crushed it. And I mean, I guess in the end, it's a little free advertising anyways if people think he actually wore it. But the funniest comment was that people said he's also wearing your suit. He might have bought that suit 10 years ago just thinking he'd grow into it, and he never did.
Yeah,
a little talking.
And those terrible wheels too. Those Balenciaga wheels. Those are tough.
Yeah, what were those sandals? They looked like Balenciaga.
No, they
rocks.
were platformed. I think he's not the tallest guy. You got to get him an extra 2-3 inches.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
All right, boys, let's get to the hockey. The big story this weekend: buddy Trevor Zegras pulled off yet another Michigan goal after putting a shot through his legs. Takes the rebound, does a Michigan. But the big story was what happened late in the game. The Ducks up 5-0, a few minutes left. He poked at the puck underneath goalie Carter Hutton. He was playing the whistle. The whistle hadn't blown. Carter Hutton didn't even react. Jay Beagle comes in, absolutely buries him in the back. He goes down. Troy Terry goes over to Beagle and engages him. And Beagle just kind of slaps a beating on him. I don't think Terry was expecting it. We seen he got pretty bloodied afterward. And then the takes just started pouring in. I know your old coworker Tyson.
Well, there's
Nash,
so many different things that went on. So I think what we should do first, and this is why it went viral, was because people were very unhappy with the way that Tyson Nash presented it on the broadcast. So for those of you who haven't heard it, which is probably not going to be many of you, we're going to roll it right now.
I knew that was going to start something, and I love it. Yeah, Beagle's pounding somebody. Troy Terry. Yeah, Beagle and caught him up high. Oh, man. And Beagle's going to fight someone else here. And Terry's hurt. Jay Beagle caught Troy Terry with a couple. And that's the problem sometimes with these young players. You want to embarrass guys, and you want to skill it up. You better be prepared to get punched in the mouth. Beagle wants to go with Fowler. I think Fowler wants to go with him. I'd love to see him let him go. Boy, I haven't seen Jay Beagle like that all season. He's fired up. I love it. Good for Jay Beagle. He's a veteran player that's been around a long time, and he's watching these young kids dance around these fancy moves.
Okay, so that happened. Then, of course, Troy Terry was all bloodied up, and Zegras was pretty heated. This was at the end of the game. There was just under 5 minutes, I believe, left in the game. So now we're going to roll Zegras' comments.
2 minutes left in the game. We're up 5-0. Guy, our best player, our leading goal scorer, one of the best players, in my opinion, in the whole league, takes a shot. When I take a shot, he comes in to help me. I'm not going to name the player, but I get that he's going to punch him maybe once. But the fact that he's down and he's not engaged in a fight, you're going to hit him 3 more times. I think it's embarrassing. I think he should be embarrassed. I'm not going to comment any further on whether or not I think he should have even been able to get to Troy while he was on the ice. But I'm embarrassed that he even got that far. I appreciate Troy sticking up for me because I think that's a nonsense cross-check with 2 minutes left in a 5-0 game. I'm embarrassed for whoever that was. I'm not going to say his name. And I think the league should step in here and do something about it. about it.
Was the puck loose when you kind of jabbed at it? And
100% loose. And I get you're going to hit me in the back, but you don't punch a guy when he's down, especially a 32-goal scorer in the NHL who's a superstar. I think it's embarrassing. I think it's a bad look for the league. And for the player that did it, it's humiliating, and I think he should be fucking punished.
Okay, so this is going to be a long discussion because obviously the newer hockey fans and the ones who are, love the skill in the game and who hate the old school mentality were absolutely furious. I'm sure Tyson Nash was fielding a massive amount of criticism, and I think that he actually spoke with Craig Morgan before their next game and just kind of wanted to rephrase as to what he said. Now, I know if I was on the broadcast, I would have just simply said, well, it's 5-0. There's under 5 minutes left. The puck's underneath the goalie. I'm not saying that Zegras shouldn't go for the puck, but he ends up poking at the goalie. In every situation in the NHL when that happens, there's always a scrum. Yes or no? Is that not
100%?
100%. So I thought that the cross-check that Beagle ended up giving Zegras was warranted. Now, I'll put myself in Beagle's head. So right after that happens, mind you, they're down 5-0. They're sick and tired of the fact that they're being embarrassed. Right after that, it looked like Fowler kind of went at him. And he gave him a little shove, but he didn't end up like tying up with him. And then right after that, Troy Terry ended up coming to Zegras' aid too. Now, where I think that people are very upset with Beagle, and I guess I can speak to what if I were Beagle, I've never really abused a skill guy where I knew that I could absolutely pound the shit out of him. I've never done that. But I can understand the fact that Fowler lunged at him, then all of a sudden Terry came at him, and all of a sudden they're in the midst of a fight. The wires are crossed, and all of a sudden he's just worried about getting his gloves off and trying to pound him. Now, I mean, Terry was the guy who went over and grabbed him, so what's he supposed to do? I guess you could say, well, after the few initial shots and realizing that Terry didn't really actually want to engage, he just wanted to go stick up for his teammate. Well, like I said, if you're a hockey fan and you've never played at the pro level and you don't understand what it's like to be in one of those scrums where things are going a million miles an hour, it's easier said than done after the fact. Now, as far as Nasher's comments, I would have just simply said, as I mentioned, like, yo, you fucking poke at the goalie, shit's going to happen, especially in a 5-0 game. Going back to the skill aspect, I think that there's probably some conversation around the league that, when you're pulling off these moves and then you're winking at the crowd and you're showboating a little bit. Yeah, like teams don't like that. Like that hasn't changed, right? Whether it's 20 years ago or now. Obviously 20 years ago, guys might have went over right after the goal was scored and he pulled off the Michigan and then fucking maybe, kind of did this to the crowd or whatever. In this situation, I don't think he sellied too hard, but I know guys going into the game, and Tyson Nash probably had been aware of it, that guys were a little bit sick of maybe some of the showboating from some of these new school guys. Hey, I'm in the entertainment business, guys. I don't give a flying fuck. I like these goals. I thought the goal was gorgeous, and the fact that he went around Sonny Milano and did it, I think because of Nash's comments, it kind of just created this whole discussion as to think that, like, this guy should have got his face pounded in because he's a skilled player and because he's showboating the other team. It was a strong correlate or a bad correlation. I think the comments made everything way worse than it was, and I'm sure that Nasher is regretting it to a certain degree. But at the fact that there was a scrum after the guy poked at the goalie and somebody ended up with a black eye and a bloodied eye, I mean, we see this all the time.
Yeah, that's a solid breakdown. And my thing was, so as the game's switching over and as we're getting to this new style hockey and the old way of hockey is sort of dying and, if not dying, becoming less and less, you see these different arguments from both sides. And I think you could kind of, like most arguments, see each side a little bit, right? So Zegras has no business poking the goalie there. Zero. There's no reason to do it. There's no reason to do it. When you do it, you're going to get cross-checked. And when Beagle cross-checked him, I had no problem with it. By the way, I love Trev, dude. He's one of our buddies on the show. I'll say this. The cross-check wasn't that hard. Like, he didn't, like, there was no chance Zegras was injured from that. It was just more a normal, like, you're poking at the goal, it's 5-0, boom. Would have been way worse before, years ago. Jay Beagle is a veteran hockey player. Now, let's also remind everyone, he's not a fighter. He's had about, 7 fights in his career, one of which he got put to sleep, and Aaron Asham, did the old, go to bed with all his teeth knocked out. He's not a fighter at all. He's played in the league a long time. He's on the worst team in the league. They're at home getting pounded 5-0, okay? This is and will forever be a violent, competitive, in-your-face sport. And emotions run so high. And when you've gone through a season like he's gone through, and you are dealing with a team that's young and having fun and skating by your bench and enjoying themselves, which I think is great for the game and awesome for these young Ducks players, it does not take away from the fact that an older veteran hockey player is going to be disgusted. He cross-checks Zegras, and the first thing that he sees, he's kind of like, all right, what's going to go on here? And Fowler comes at him. He kind of throws a punch at him, or at least the linesman's able to grab Fowler, and then Terry comes in like a good teammate. You see Zegras cross-check. Now, maybe Terry could have been like, he kind of deserved to. He was whacking the goalie. But no, that's not what hockey players do. No matter what happens to a teammate, you get in. He throws a punch with his glove on, but he throws a jab, a little kind of, not a hard punch, a little love tap at Beagle. Beagle at this point is now, like I said, down 5-0 on the worst team in the league, with his tempers running high. So what's he do? He grabs the guy. The linesmen are around Zegras because they're probably protecting him, thinking somebody might go after him for getting at the goalie. The other linesman, I think, had grabbed Fowler. I don't exactly remember. And he starts teeing off. If he had just grabbed him and dropped his glove and hit him once, where you could tell the angle and you can kind of see from the camera view what's going on, and he kind of hit him once and realized, all right, this kid has no interest in fighting. I'm done with this. That's it. And then this is a non-story in my mind. This is the part where I'm sure, actually I shouldn't say I'm sure Beagle regrets. This is the part that is tough to watch. And for these hockey fans who hate fighting and want it out of the game and love the skill in the game, it's disgusting to watch, because then he just continues to pound on him. Now, when Tim Jackman grabbed me, not that I was a player like Troy Terry, it's just ripping my head off my body and pounding my head in, when somebody's pissed off in this game, unless a ref or a linesman gets in there, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You're not at that moment giving one fuck what some fan online's thinking. You're worried, and you're thinking about how pissed off this guy has made you. This guy just came at you first. The first guy that you went after speared the goalie in your mind. And so the beginning of it was not an issue. The entire beginning of the whole thing was not an issue to me. It was just that he continued to beat on him, and he continued to kind of pound him. But for years, man, that's kind of been the case. If you don't want to get pounded, don't go at a guy who could pound your head in. That's how it used to be, and it's changing. But my argument in all of this, while Beagle kind of looks a little foolish because he's beating down on a guy who's never been in a fight, I don't think, that's not a suspendable offense. I'm sorry. I don't think it is. I don't think that's worthy of games or even a fine. That's the rough and ugly nature of hockey at times, but that is still hockey. So Tyson Nash's comments, I can understand why people are flipping out, because he's like, you want to scale it up? That's the very old school way of thinking of it. But I understand his message. It's don't fucking do anything that will piss us off if you're up 5-0, or we're going to punch your head in. And the fact that people hate that, oh my God, what do you mean you can't do anything if you're up 5-0 and outskilling a team? Well, I'm sorry. It's a game with fighting. It's a physical game that will always be that way until they take fighting out. If you're up 5-0 and you're doing stuff to piss off a team, and there's a veteran on the other team that's had enough, he's going to do something about it. So both sides were at fault, I think. And Beagle certainly, I don't know if he feels bad, but he's probably like, shit, I pounded this kid's head in. But I know I've been talking for a while here. It brings me to another aspect of this. And RA, I'm sure you had this in the notes, was Teemu Selanne's comments after. And Teemu sent out a tweet. Enough, I'm paraphrasing, enough of these guys on the Ducks getting pushed around. We need to bring in some toughness. So as all these people talk about how the game is changing and we cannot have bullshit like that and Beagle beating a defenseless player and blah, 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 blah. Well, do you notice what some of the best teams are doing? because the Rangers are having one of the best seasons in the league, and they brought in Reeves. And the Colorado Avalanche have McDermott all the time. And the Wild are a big, strong team who just brought in Delorier. And when the Bruins were this wagon of a team the last 10 years, they were one of the toughest teams going. And Toronto has Wayne Simmons. So as much as everyone hates it, you need it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where the game's going because the game is still the game. It's still the physicality. It's still the violent nature of hockey. And when the playoffs come, it's going to be even worse. Sorry, folks. Sorry, people who don't like it. You need the toughness. So Timu's saying we traded away Delorier. We've gotten rid of guys. It's like you cannot do that. I know people want to think, oh, we just need a team of flying, skillful players. No, dude, this is hockey. It doesn't work like that. And look at Calgary. And look at the season they've had, and look at the teams Darryl Sutter had in L.A. You can't play hockey with an entire roster of fast, skillful, fun-to-watch players. And I know that that's going to create an uproar with people who don't think you should have to have toughness in your lineup to be a good team. That is the game. And I know some people don't like the game that way, but they're incorrect in thinking that way.
I think those type of people have pushed it to a good place. It's not where it was, right?
Exactly.
I use the term,
it's never going where they want it to go.
Bingo, and that's the key right there. The pussification of the game has reached a level where I think that we're in a great spot. If you're not under the understanding that whole scrum and that result of Troy Terry's eye happened because in a 5-0 game with 5 minutes left, somebody poked at the goalie. Now, I'll ask you this, Whit. I don't know if there's going to be a clip out there where it comes back to bite me in the ass, but you typically think a guy like I'll just use Sid as an example, or any smart veteran, up 5-0 where that puck's underneath the goalie, most guys are just like, I'm not poking at that puck because I know what's going to happen. It was a rookie mistake. I'm not saying he shouldn't go after that puck because the whistle hadn't gone, but it's like, hey man, if you go after that puck that's underneath the goalie, it's been happening since the beginning of time as far as hockey's concerned. So anybody who didn't want that to happen can't argue at the fact that you can't be going after that puck when it's 5-0 with that much time left. And to go even further back in that game, things were getting a little bit chippy, and even I guess Anaheim apparently was yapping quite a bit. So tensions were already on high on top of that before that scrum. Did it get even worse because it just so happens that Trevor Zegras, the guy who pulled off that fancy move between his legs and then does the Michigan, probably add to the fact that he got a little bit of extra spice on the cross-check and there was a retaliation? Yeah, but as you mentioned, he kind of folded like a cheap tent. It wasn't even that bad of a retaliation, in my opinion. The cross-check was warranted, and it wasn't any harder than what he did to the goalie.
The cross-check, it wasn't that bad. Now, Murls, remember back in the day, it's like, and I know saying back in the day, like, what a boomer, what a loser Whitney is. If it was 5-0, it's like, boys, let's get out of the game, boys. No bullshit,
teams
guys.
wouldn't even want to get it to 5-0.
That's what I've been since the Toronto Metro Junior Hockey League days when I was actually a skill player. I wouldn't even want to be on the ice in the last 5 minutes if we're up 5-0. I put some of this on the coach. Why do you have Zegras and Terry out there?
Nah, that's a lot.
And if it's 5-0, I'm not going anywhere near the corner. I'm not going near the goalie. If I'm up 5-0, I've been probably going by their bench and chirping after a Michigan. Like I put a little blame on those guys for even putting themselves in that situation as a coach. I would
now here's the argument is people at home are like that completely disagree with my take. It's like, why should you not be going after a loose puck up 5-0? Score more. You're skilled. Get as many goals as you can. It's just that's the way the hockey's played. The game's over. Don't fuck around and piss somebody off unless you're willing to go. And there's plenty of guys, like if you're Luch or you're one of these players who's willing and looking forward to protecting yourself, and maybe he's got a pissed off vibe about you at the end of the game, and you're like, you know what, even though we're up 5-0, I'm going to go in and poke at the goal, and I hope somebody pushes me because I still want to get in a fight tonight. But if you don't want to get in a fight, just skate away.
That's what Walshy used to do.
People think I'm crazy for that, but that's how it was when I played, and I don't think it'll ever go the other way completely.
Yeah, when I was played with Walshy and Wilkes-Barre in the fourth line, we would get those minutes, and he's like, Murls, I'm going to go in and poke the goalie and start a fun bunch. Just make sure you grab one of the guys that comes after me, because he knew they would all be in there, and that's what it is. You get in there, and in defense to Beagle, like you said earlier, the wires cross. It's you don't know what you're doing in there. You're just grabbing on, and you're fighting for survival.
Well,
so.
and as we said, it was an eye for an eye at that point. It was a poke for a cross check, and then we've talked about maybe how he should have stopped wailing on Troy Terry, but I think the whole thing got escalated by the fact that two guys took a run at him.
I don't know that I'd equate with the poke from Zegras with the cross check. I know it wasn't the worst cross check, but it was barely a jab, and Carter Hutton didn't even react. I think the cross check was a little worse than Zegras poking at the puck.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
That's
No,
all.
I respect that opinion from you, and yeah, no, I
from an actor.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm sure Troy Terry's been doing okay at the bar the last few days.
Oh yeah, he should be thanking the Coyote.
Like,
no, he's got a girl.
The stitches in the black
This
eye.
is a very
over.
deep cut.
Yeah.
But so Zegras' comments after, I saw some people ripping on him, right? He called Terry a superstar. That's one of his best friends. He sees his buddy with his eyes swelled shut with stitches in his eyelid. The funniest part, though, is he's keep looking over his shoulder. Did he think Beagle was coming down the hall after him? Did you notice in the comments, keep looking behind him?
WWF style, like someone's going to come down the hall
Get
in a
hit
chair.
with a metal chair in the hallway of the jobbing arena.
So
it's even still called that.
But yeah, as far as Tyson Nash's comments, I really think that that definitely escalated things, and I'm not obviously in the agreement that if somebody's skilling it up, they should have their fucking face caved in. But if you're maybe selling the way that they're selling, and then that up 5-0 at that point, guys might get a little fed up with all of it, and then that's when you're going to get teed off on. So yeah, I'm sure they're regrettable for him, and he wanted to reword them. But hey, man, when you're live on a broadcast and you probably know as much inside information as how fed up guys are with certain situations, maybe you actually speak from the heart and you don't sugarcoat it, and then here we are.
It might serve as a reminder to these young guys that this is still the NHL, like Whit just said, and these things can happen. Just because you engage a guy, he's not going to wrap you up. Some guy might punch the shit out of you. Like Whit said, guys' wires get crossed. And
they should make a tap-out rule in hockey.
And also, one other point, the NHL is not going to be Olympus-sized. They're never going to get this out. And NHL fans don't want it. We want the physicality. We want the fight. And like I've said for years, Whit, it's in case of emergency, break glass. These guys want it as an option. They're never going to vote it out. And it's part of the game. And people who don't want it, I don't know, maybe watch a different league because it's the NHL, and that's the way
you can watch
go.
the Swedish third division. We're not allowed to fight there.
That's because everyone's so hungover they'll pee themselves if they square off.
Well, that's what we had a game on Sunday, and Timrah, our big club back home, stayed up in they were supposed to get relegated, and they swept the league or the finals. So they're in the SHL for another year, which is huge news for the whole city and for EBR because we can go to the games and we can bet the overs. But all of our guys are huge fans of that team, too. So they won Saturday night, and the boys might have had a few extra cocktails and stayed out. There's one guy out till 3 a.m., and then our team played at 4. So I guess it was quite a show. But he scored, of course, and we won. So all is good.
There you go.
All right, boys, any final thoughts on that before we move on?
Hey, really nice move by Zegras to go around Milano with the Michigan.
Sick.
It was
and
sick.
the fact that it was off of a missed in between the leg shot, and then he grabs it and weasels it around Milano. It was dirty. That's what he does. He's got this crazy skill level, and I think if he was looking back, he'd probably take back just like giving that extra poke at the goalie. Even though, RA, you are right, it wasn't that bad. It's more about the optics.
Yep. All right, moving right along. Longtime beloved Buffalo Sabres broadcaster Rick Jeanneret. He's going to be retiring after this season. So the team raised a banner for him the other night to the rafters. Awesome scene, man. I mean, if you've been listening to hockey, watching hockey for the last 50 years, you know this guy's voice. Some epic calls. Mayday, Mayday against my Bruins back in 93. It was absolutely classic. He joined the Sabres biz in their second season. He's been part of their radio or TV crew for the last 51 years. The team wore RJ patches. They brought him out after the game for pitches. He was named the game's first star. And you could tell he was genuinely moved. It looked like he got a little teared up. It seemed like the whole crowd was teared up. Actually, Murls, we should probably go to you as somewhat of a local guy. You grew up listening to him.
Yeah, my best friend's Tim Conley, so he played there 10 or 12 years. He actually was at the game. He went out there. They had a big ceremony for him, and he went out to dinner with him and everything. So, yeah, I grew up watching him. What was it, 05, 06, 07 here? The Buffalo had those big playoff runs, and when he would make those goal calls, like I remember the Roy one he would Roy. It was just, it was amazing. It just made the game fun to watch. I used to love watching Sabres games just because of him.
And La Fontaine. That's probably one of the more famous ones too.
Yep. Yeah, he's a legend. Jim Lorenz was his color guy for a long, long time. His son's a friend of mine.
Why don't we play a couple of them?
Solapsky coming up with it, lost it! He's right on the float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Alexander the greatest, that's 15! And over the line, Lafontaine fakes his shot, took his shot, score! Well, 'tis the season. LaFontaine. Putting it up to LaFontaine. He gets tripped up, gets it to May, and over the line. He's May going in on goal. He shoots. He scores! Mayday! 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 Red May wins it in overtime.
So those are some of his most notable ones. And, I grew up in Niagara as well, so I actually went to more Buffalo Sabres game than Toronto game. And I think it was awesome. And I know that we've been going back and forth with the fan base. Well, I guess I have. At the fact that the team had been playing so much better and it seems like the fans are so much more engaged. So to have a send-off for him the way that it happened, and I believe like they've been on a crazy run up until that point, and then they beat a pretty good Nashville team in a very, very good back-and-forth, high-scoring game. So things are looking up for the organization, and it was just a great night and a great feel around town all around. And also Rob Ray had a great speech as well. And, basically said, you're one of us. So RJ seemed just so touched by it. After the game, what Tuck and, was it Tage Thompson? A couple of the guys grabbed him and brought him out on the ice. And it was a very, on top of the ceremony before the game, to have the send-off after the game as well, after that emotional win in a packed barn, everything that he deserved and more.
Yeah, I got a picture with all the boys. Wait, I'm sorry, did you want to chime in? I didn't know if I cut you off there.
This guy was the best. The goal calls, where mama hides the cookies, all the different sayings he had. And this game was the first sellout the Sabres had since February 2020, before the pandemic, against the Leafs. And they sold this game all because of him. And 51 years, dude, radio or TV, part of this team. And he was with the Buffalo Bison even before that. So in an age now, especially with the prices, and even before, it's been hard to go to an NHL game, right? If you're a fan and you have kids and family, it's a lot. Tickets, parking, you got to get, food, all this merch, all these different things. So a lot of times, like an announcer like this, he's more a part of the fans' lives than a lot of the players. And you root for this team, and these players come in and they come out and they're there for a little bit or a long bit, and then they're gone. But forever, RJ was there. And I think his voice and the way that he brought you into the game, and he made the game exciting for you, and also had, a little bit of humor, for what I'm told, was always a pretty funny guy. One of the guys asked him, or maybe it was a reporter, asking him about his longevity. How do you do it for this long? And he said, a few beers here and there never hurt. He said, I don't do that very much nowadays, but for a long time it was a steady part of my diet. So I think all these fans that got to listen to this guy for so long, and a lot of great runs. And I mean, you go back to the Odd and the Mayday beating the Bruins, walking Ray Bourque, and then the run they had to lose to Carolina in the Eastern Conference Final, I think 2005. It's a guy that these people will never forget, a lot more so than almost any Sabres player. And it's just a hell of a run by what I've been told is a classy individual. I got to meet him a couple times, just briefly, shake his hand in the locker room. But happy for him, and what a run it was. And I mean, when you have a guy like that as your announcer for that long, that's pretty sweet. I mean, Bruins fans got to deal with Jack Edwards, and these guys get RJ for 51 years. So it can be amazing, and it can be tough in terms of your play-by-play guy, and they had the best.
Yeah, to go that long and not be hated by anybody, that's a strong feat, right? And now, do you think that when Jack Edwards goes that long, you don't think he's going to have that type of send-off?
He might. I think actually a portion of the fan base really likes him, RA. I don't know. Do you?
I don't mind Jack at all. I like him. I think he's entertaining. I think
That's because you guys are buddy up in press row when you go to the games.
Nah, he's in the booth. I don't even see him. I don't know if he even knows who I am. But no, he's over the top. But listen, I listen to other games, other broadcasts. They're all homers to certain degrees. I don't think Jack's much worse. He's a little over the top, but he's no worse than a lot of these other announcers. They're home team announcers. They're supposed to be homers. That's what they do. So
Jack does make it fun.
He makes it fun.
I think he makes it very fun. He says a lot of dumb shit, but you're like, this is hilarious.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Wouldn't you rather have them talk about you than not? I mean, if they're not talking about you, then they might not be listening to you. And what you just mentioned,
very true.
Having a few pops. He kind of, now that you say it, he kind of reminds me of Harry Carey a little bit. You know, long-time Cardinals, then Cubs announcer. And then, Rick Jeanneret, well-beloved, having a few beers. It sounds like he was a little bit like Harry Carey there as well.
I saw a Harry Carey thing. I don't know if it was true. It was on social media somewhere. He was like a legendary drinker. And so one night, like him and Frank Sinatra were doing a drink off, and finally at like 6 a.m., Harry Carey goes, "Holy shit, Frank, you win. I'm going to bed." Like, I guess nobody could beat him. So I guess there is some Harry Carey lookalikes with RJ.
And RJ, just one of those voices too. Like even if the game's terrible, like just you still want to listen. It's just like so charming,
so distinctive as well.
And he had to polish a lot of turds over the last 10 years.
Well, just to back that point, there's the Sabres, man. They had a lot to cheer about. Going back to March, 9-3-3 in the month. They had an 8-game point streak. We got to give a shout out to Tage Thompson. He had a real breakthrough season so far. 31 goals, 23 assists in 66 games. Jeff Skinner rediscovered that scoring touch, his 28 goals. And our pal Alex Tuck, he's not even putting the points on the board, but showing his tremendous leadership, really kind of galvanizing that group, what they're doing there. Kyle Okposo, 18 goals, the most he's had in 5 years to go along with 23 assists. Rasmus Dahlin looks like he's turned that developmental corner. So, maybe not playing the parade yet, Buffalo, but it's nice that, they've been getting shit on for so long that they had this nice moment for this season. I know it's an announcer, but I don't know, it's something positive for them.
Anyways. Yeah, I think they're playing the way they're playing, and I was reading online, they're going into next year with all these like skilled players and these young guys, $20 million under the cap still. So they got a lot to look forward to. They got what's up?
They got a great goalie too. This kid from Northeastern, the goalie, he was on the Canadian Olympic team too. So they got he was the best goalie in all college hockey, I think.
Yeah, Devon Levi, right?
So they got him too.
They got him from the Panthers. Had him, Biz, and they traded him. He's a stud.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Sabres might be coming for you next year.
It sounds like you're just counting down typical fucking Biz.
What are you fucking talking about?
Well, you just said things are great, things are looking up. I mean, you hate these people.
No, if you were fucking listening over there in your stupid little office, I said that I was going to keep it classy today because it's RJ's send-off. So I'm not going to be bullying Sabres fans.
So you still hate them, though. Just want to make it clear.
I'm not being a turncoat. I fucking hate their guts. The only reason they could sell out their building was because it was RJ night. First time in 2 fucking years before the pandemic. They couldn't even do it to hate Jack Eichel enough, which galvanized, by the way, you took my word, galvanized their whole fucking fan base. So we'll get to them. But as they keep reminding me, Tage Thompson, 130-goal season. Jack Eichel, 130-goal season with the Sabres. So they are just nonstop coming at me, and I'm going to save all my jam for the Chiclets Cup in Buffalo, where I'm going to have to hire security. I hear some people threatening me online already with it. So no, I'm not going back the other way. I still hate their guts. I'm Team Eichel. I will say I'm very happy. I have a lot of friends I even got a friend involved with the organization, Matt Ellis, who's from Niagara as well. Played for the Buffalo Sabres when they were a dumpster fire. Still are. And keep in mind, I'm going to throw one last thing in here.
Isn't he their assistant coach, Matt Ellis?
Yeah, well, when they fired their whole coaching staff because it's a fucking shit show, and I think they've been through about 17 coaching staffs in the last 17 years. Yeah.
All right, this worked perfect. I just put like a penny in the machine.
Last thing I'm going to say. Were you with the Edmonton Oilers where you guys would be out of playoffs by December and all of a sudden you're playing loosey-goosey?
November 15th.
November. And all of a sudden in the second half of the season it's loosey-goosey. We'll see where they're at in a few years. Okay? A little bit easier when you're not expected to win and then you're going through the doldrum days of the season with the teams who already have playoff spots locked up and you're fucking getting all revved up for RJ night. I'm just happy they ended up winning the goddamn game and they've been on a nice little stretch because we do need barns sold out and we do need fan bases thriving.
Oof. All right. Well, Biz is revved up for that one. And Whit, I'm sure you're going to be revved up for this segment. Our buddy Keith Yandle, Philadelphia defenseman, he was a healthy scratch on Saturday night, ending his NHL record ironman streak at 989 games. Hell of an accomplishment. It was an quote, organizational decision, end quote, per the team. The last time he didn't play in a regular season game was 13 years ago. Many were wondering why the Flyers just didn't let him get to 1,000 games in this lost season. With that, why not? I mean, they're fucking been donezo for a long time. I know JR was pissed about it. Our later guest, he was disappointed in the Flyers. And then other guys felt different. Mike Rupp, another friend of the show, he thought it was kind of a charade the way it got handled. He didn't like the way Kessel flew in, played one shift, then left. He thought they were kind of manipulating these records. And, he may have a point. And then your boy, Fairway Foles, chimed in. He challenged Ruppa to a debate or whatever. So
hope it goes better than his Tuukka Rask one.
Again, all kinds of shit going on, lots of takes. So, Whit, obviously going to go to you on this one first.
Yeah, I mean, like I said with the Beagle and Zegras and Terry thing, there's like two sides to everything. And so I'll take quickly, the Flyers are looking at it like we don't owe him anything. We're signing guys from NCAA that we've promised games to. That's 100% part of the deal when you leave school. You can play games right now. And it's been a really tough year. I know Keith hasn't had a great year, but the way I look at it, and obviously I'm very biased in terms of this one, and I see Rupper's point, but I think it's disgraceful. And I think it's disgraceful because there is nothing going on in Philly that Keith playing 11 more games in a row will change. The fact that they don't allow him to get to 1,000 to me makes zero sense. He's been there all year playing. Right when he broke the record, why didn't they scratch him, right? It's so odd to now pick with 14 games to go, he can't get 11 of them, and you can't sit somebody else out. If I was a defenseman on the team, I would have pulled my groin to say, Keith, stay in, you're playing. And the way he handled it was very professional. I was super proud of him, and that's great to see. I wouldn't expect anything less. But inside, I know that locker room was disappointed and upset because they all look up to him. And yes, there's a million Flyers fans. All these people, well, he hasn't had a good year. He shouldn't be playing. Bullshit. You're not inside the room. And there are former players who were in way more locker rooms than I mean, Hal Gill and Mike Rupp, who said that it was bullshit. But I disagree with them because that team, they look up to Keith. He is a role model. What he's done is something that they're so beyond impressed by. And I think fans, like, as much as it's cool and as much as we've tried to talk about breaking that Ironman streak and how amazing it is, they never really would understand it. Like players are the ones who get that. And I know I sound like one of those guys, I played, you didn't. But the fact he didn't miss a game and he was that close to 1,000 straight, it's just such a number to look at and say, not only did I break the record, and Kessel's probably going to break his, but I got to 1,000. People pray. People will do anything to get to 1,000 career games played. And he had the chance to do 1,000 straight. And with the team 500 points out of the playoffs, they couldn't give him 11 more games. It's mind-boggling to me. It's like, what is the difference? And mind you, this season was completely thrown off when Ellis got hurt. Because Keith probably would have played with Braun all year. Instead, Braun had to move up because Ellis never got to play. And the season's been a disaster. But to look at it and say, like, taking Keith out and getting this NCAA kid, this isn't his fault at all, getting him games, like, that's really what this organization needs. Like, is that going to change this young kid's career that much? Like, or take out another guy because you have something going on right now that while the season's been a disaster and a write-off, at least you can look and say, yeah, we don't owe him anything. And, yeah, this is his only year here. But he has the chance to end his career playing 1,000 straight games. And so for them to take him out, I thought it was disgraceful. I could not disagree with the move more. And I'm saying that I like Mike Yeo. I had him for a long time. And I like Chuck Fletcher. He was in Pittsburgh as well. Two good guys. They made a decision that I don't agree with.
I still haven't gotten Yan's feelings on it, but I did text him. Nobody used to make a fuss about when I was a healthy scratch. and he liked
That's because they knew you'd still be in the shower post-game hanging. That was your best role.
Yeah, staring at Yan's horn. But I guess I don't know how to feel about it, and I'm on the fence because it's like, well, as frustrated as I am, like you said, about the fact that they have nothing going on, they're out of playoffs. This has kind of been going on all year, but then you also mentioned that maybe they promised these college kids, and now they have to start worrying about the future, right? But I talked to a few wily veterans, and they said it's more about the organization being not able to get other guys coming over because players might look at what they did as disrespectful, right? So it might hurt them in the long run. And going back to Rupper's comments, for the same reason that the Coyotes did it for Kessel, is they want to be looked at as an organization where it's like, we respect the players. We want the players to be happy. It's about the players. So it made me understand it a little bit more, going to what your point is. Now, I guess all my focus and attention goes to it, the fact that I'm so happy that the Flyers ended up bringing him in, and Jans was, in fact, able to break the record, because I got to play with a guy, and I'm friends with a guy where every time that record's shown on NHL Network or in tweets, like, I get to be reminded that my buddy, set the record for the longest game streak. Now, does it suck that it didn't end up getting to 1,000? Absolutely. But I just am more happy that he ended up breaking the record, and the team who is now kind of facing a lot of this ridicule was the one who delivered that, despite, what a lot of people are saying, is the fact that maybe the play wasn't there. And it sucks to say that, because he's my buddy, and but man, we go back 2 years ago, I think he had over 50 points with the Florida Panthers, and he was the same old Jans, and the fact that maybe Jans wasn't able to play up to what he used to play was a reason why they eventually said, hey, we got to take him out of the lineup. But at this point now, or not right after when he broke it, that's what leaves me just perplexed. And then who ended up making the decision? So I don't want to sound too harsh towards Jans, because I would want to have the conversation with him too, but I would imagine he doesn't want all this negative attention either for just simply being a healthy scratch. He's probably at this point thinking, God, this is taking a lot of time and attention away from the team as well. So, and that's the kind of guy he is. So all in all, it sucks. I don't think it was the right decision. I think it's frankly stupid, and they kind of brought that attention on themselves. But in the same breath, as I said, I'm just so happy that he ended up breaking the record. I'm happy that he wanted to go out the way that he wanted to go out. And I think that the main message that he had was he's like, I don't want my family or my kids to ever see me as a quitter. And he's not. They had to pull him out of the lineup. He didn't pull himself out. He broke the record, and he has it right now. So I'm happy for him. It sucks that we have to talk about this, RA, and I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I was curious whether it was, they said an organizational decision. So was it the coach? Was it the team? Did they all sit down? I mean, I guess it doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's over. But for a little laugh and a little levity, there was a quote from JVR about Kessel, because, Kessel's probably going to break the record. He said, I'm sure a lot of strength and conditioning specialists are at a loss for words. Regarding Kessel playing that many games. Well, pretty funny quote. But Whit, I want to ask you, I guess, he's going to get a swan song here. He's probably going to get in at least another game or so to get, I guess, a final lap, for a lack of a better term, or no?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea how they're approaching it.
I mean,
I would think so, but I mean, it seems like they've kind of moved on for now, and are they going to continue to play these young guys? I have no idea how it'll go out. And it is funny, because I do see there's so many fans that are like, what the fuck? Why do we need to keep playing him this streak? He broke the streak, and I understand where they're coming from. I just think being in the room and talking to guys in that room, it's just different the way that they look at things as opposed to fans, because the team's been bad all year and everyone's struggled. So it's kind of like, well, why don't we at least give the guy 1,000 games? But I'm not sitting here and saying there isn't an argument to both sides of it. And obviously me knowing Keith is kind of my side. So it's just kind of brutal the way it went out. But you said it perfect, Biz. It was an amazing run, and he did break the record, and that's what'll be remembered.
Yeah. And as I touched on, it's like I lean on the wily veterans and the old school guys' opinion, because I'm just kind of this plug who played where I just kind of follow the lead. You're saying it. The guys in the room are probably pissed off about it. What does that say moving forward? You got to worry about that culture in the locker room, and even the guys that are still going to be there. So they might be like, well, why didn't they come to us with this question? We want to pick the guys that we go on the ice with. So I don't know, shitty situation, so I don't know. That's it.
Yeah, either way, congrats to Keith, man. It's whatever else happens, it's a hell of an accomplishment that he did. 13 fucking years and not missing a regular season game, so kudos to KY. I got my Shady Rays on today, Biz. Not only because they look like shit, but we got an ad read for them today, and these are awesome shades. Shady Rays is back for another run around the sun. Shady Rays sunglasses offering an industry-best combination of fit, style, and performance without the big brand price tag. And it doesn't stop at the quality. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost and broken replacements. So if you lose or break your pair of Shady Rays, even on the first day, they replace it with a brand new pair, no questions asked, so you can wear it with confidence, whether you're hosting your podcast or just out for a Sunday drive. And gang, I know I've been on the Shady Rays. I've been a Shady Rays diehard for a while. I know they're not with these fancy pairs of glasses, but these things are unreal. They're super sunglasses. I'm not just saying that. I wear them all the time. Unreal shades. Go out and grab a pair. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their very best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com/chiclets for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. It's an unreal deal for unreal shades. It's basically buy one, get one free. And these are super, dude. You lose them, hey, I lost them. They send you a new pair, man. That's an unreal deal.
Yeah.
You know?
Fucking right.
Confused there.
No, I'm still thinking about the Yan situation.
Oh, okay.
I hope I didn't come off too hard, too, because I'm trying to see all the sides. And, even for Yo, do you think Yo's the head coach there next year?
Don't forget, guys, they had a 37-year-old right wing playing in that lineup that night, too, that has 4 points. So they're not too worried about the future.
That's the thing.
So why don't you put Yandle as the 13th forward? Or the 12th, or 12th forward or 7th D. He doesn't need to play the power play, but you can't say it's all about the future and you have this 37-year-old with 4 points.
And I also heard it was the coach's decision, which I'm not in those conversations. I'm not in that room, right? So then I was like, what? That's bizarre. If it was the coach's decision and he was the one who was putting him in the lineup to break the record, why wouldn't he just keep him in? And I don't want to keep talking about this, but Whit, do you think I was too critical and seeing both sides of it?
No, there are two sides to it. Like I said, on every single story and event in this league, there's always two sides. It's just I'm kind of on the side of you have nothing going on there this year. there's zero reason to end that streak. There really is. And even if you want to end it at 1,000 and give somebody the 3 final games, it's just to me, I completely disagreed. But having seen Mike Rupp, who played a lot more games than me, and Hal Gill, who played a lot more games than me, completely disagree. There are definitely players who don't kind of sit with me, but I also know what was said inside that locker room.
Hey, wasn't the D who stepped in too -4?
I hammered the Leafs though that night. You just knew that Flyers were going to get bad karma, and you knew, like Whit said, the locker room wasn't going to feel good about that game. And the Leafs went out and would they score 6 or 7 goals? They've
also lost.
The Leafs
have. The Leafs are awesome. So
the Leafs have me,
and Philly's lost 2/3 of their games.
Worried right now. Not going to lie.
Ooh. All right, boys, there's been tons of scoring this season, tons of points. That means a lot more milestones. And Connor McDavid, Wednesday night in a 4-3 shootout win over L.A., he reached 100 points for the 5th time in his career. He's up to 105 points in 69 games, and he's got 12 more games to pass his career high of 108. He's probably going to blow that out of the water. He's the 19th player with 5 100-point seasons. He's only in his 7th season. For comparison, Sid has 6 in 17 seasons. So not to make a McDavid versus Sid, but just to put it in perspective, only 2 guys in league history with 10-plus 100-point seasons are Mario and Wayne. So again, McDavid just on this unreal trajectory. And just last night, his teammate Leon Draisaitl became the 2nd player this year to hit 50 goals, and he made it 6-1 versus Anaheim. Just the 2nd time he's hit 50. He needs 1 more for a new career high. And he's the 3rd active player with multiple 50-goal seasons after Ovi and Stammer. Biz, McDavid just keeps getting it done. Leon right alongside him.
Well, and McDavid, he would have hit it in all 7 seasons if it wasn't for the shutdown because of COVID and then the injury as well. I think it was a year where he ran into the goalpost, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's good point.
So he would be 7 for 7.
Most likely, yeah.
Guys, it's remarkable, and it's almost like we're what's the term I'm looking for? We're so used to it. We don't even really have him in the Hart conversation this year, but he's going to end up running away with the scoring title again. So
take it for granted?
Yeah, we're taking him for granted at this point. But it's it's very special. They got 2 special guys there that are fun to watch. And, as far as Draisaitl is concerned, the guy kills penalties as well. So he's just an absolute fucking horse. And wait, you talk about being scared of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm starting to get a little bit scared of the Oilers. And people are like, oh, what are you scared about? They don't have any goaltending. I feel like they are starting to get that mojo. And their record under the new coach is incredible. They're just finding ways to win. They look like they're having a good time.
I can tell you what right now. Sorry, Whip, but
no, go ahead.
I've loved following your guys' Calgary-Edmonton bet all year long. I've wrote a couple blogs about it. I've made some boost because of it. And I've been on Biz's side the whole time. Like the Oilers, they're brutal. But I just was happened to look at the standings today. Edmonton would play the LA Kings, and Calgary might have to end up playing Las Vegas. Vegas.
I know, dude.
That is not
That's my
a good
only
matchup.
goal.
Like if Edmonton can even get home ice versus the LA Kings, they're moving on. And then Calgary's got to deal with Vegas, who nobody wants to deal with.
I agree with you. On paper, that scares me. I have actually, since they've been on this run, watched more LA Kings games. Even though they got some guys you've never heard of in the lineup, they are fast. They play extremely well defensively. They get timely saves, and they're a bugger to play against. They ended up beating up Calgary in Calgary the other night in that shootout. And then where do they end up playing the night before that?
And then they beat Winnipeg. They got 5 of 6 points. Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg.
And then they ended up coming back on Edmonton, scoring those 2 quick goals. So,
but if
100%.
Edmonton looks, knock on wood, 3 times with your right hand. If Edmonton gets in, there could be no other matchup you'd rather want than LA. Give me that.
No, sure.
That's what I'm saying.
I couldn't agree more.
And the worst matchup would be Vegas. Like, you don't want to see Vegas if they get all healthy.
Yeah, Vegas is on a little roll
I
right
sent
now.
out a tweet after that Oilers win the other night. I sent out a tweet. I said, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. I'm starting to get nervous, just like you were nervous the entire season about your left ear getting pierced. I'm starting to get nervous about having the Peter Mansbys on national television.
Can somebody reach out to me too? Maybe a jewel. Well, I know we got Larry Flowers as a jeweler, but I don't know how much money I could spend in terms of. I want the cross, if I do lose, the hanging cross to be like 2 pink Whitney bottles. That'd be kind of sick. Where I put a little advertising on the cross that I'll have for
what
a
are
month.
pink diamonds called? Is there a name for them?
I'm sure asking the wrong guy.
Oh, okay.
I know. I saw
RA's a couple falling off a truck into RA's house one time. Other than that, he doesn't know.
He knows about the other rocks.
I saw Uncut Gems a couple times. That's about my extent. I got an engagement ring fucking 13 years ago. That's my extent with diamonds. I did say these.
And you did mention Crosby's only got 500-point seasons. I think Malkin has 3, and then he has 1 year with 99 points or 98. But they changed their game a little bit.
Yeah,
they probably could have had more 100-point seasons. They had more depth. They played a little more defense. So as amazing as it is what we're watching, I truly think when the Oilers become, or hopefully someday become, a perennial Stanley Cup contender, if that ever goes down, their points might go down a little bit. That is how the game goes. You won't need to rely on them entirely, hopefully, and it does change the fact that if Sid and Gino were together on average to bad teams throughout their career, they would have had more 100-point seasons.
Look at Witt turning on his own guys, talking about me.
Not at all. Just being
my
honest,
tone
buddy.
with Buffalo.
I'm unbiased, baby. Unless we're talking about Yans.
I'm on the Go Kings Go bandwagon. My 85-1 ticket.
Hey, we don't talk about Huberdeau enough. He set the record for points, or assists by a left winger. I mean, this guy's getting it done in Florida. Like, I feel like we just got to shed some more light on this guy.
Yeah, Biz, before we get to Hubie, we got to talk about Matthews, because I said that Leon was the second guy to get 50. And, of course, Thursday in Toronto, Austin Matthews got the empty netter in a 7-3 win over Winnipeg that gave him his career-high 50th goal. Just the 4th Leaf in history to score 50. That's crazy for a team that's been around that long. He did it in just 62 games, the fastest Leaf ever. He joins Rick Vive, Gary Lehman, and Dave Andrechuk on that short list. He added his 51st Saturday night in Philly, and he's now just 4 goals from setting the single-season record for the Leafs. He's got 88 points in 63 games right now. Obviously an MVP candidate. He's got 250 goals in his career now in 397 games played. And his boy Biebs caused a little stir down the street in Montreal, too.
Yeah, Biebs was taunting the Habs crowd. I don't know if you.
Oh
yeah, he's like, how's the playoff race coming? Boo!
Oh yeah, he's chirping the Habs. They got the most cups, and they were in the finals last year. You're a Leafs fan, Bieber.
Pretty ballsy. Pretty ballsy.
And going back to what we said about how McDavid would be probably 7 for 7 with not the injuries. Without some of the shutdowns, he would have already hit 50. But I mean, knock on wood, there's a strong chance that he's going to set the all-time goal record in the season for the Leafs, man. And just a special player, an absolute specimen, having an MVP caliber season. And what's even more impressive is how good he plays defensively, but yet is still able to put the puck in the net. And credit to Marner and Bunting, his 2 line mates who have been just feeding him all season long. More specifically, Marner, who's an absolute wizard and has, I mean, in the last 50 games, I don't know what the numbers are, but he's up there as far as primary points and just analytic numbers off the chart. So it's been a very special year for those three guys, and very happy for Austin Matthews and having, man, this is all coming off wrist surgery too. He missed the first few games of the season, and he got off to a bit of a slow start. So the fact that if he could not only win the Rocket, but set the all-time Leafs goal record in the season, I mean, I said it, greatest Maple Leaf of all time. He's well on his way. And me and G were in the cab on the way over to dinner last night, and could you imagine if this guy brought a Stanley Cup back to Toronto?
Biggest legend of all time in the entire city.
I would
Legit.
say.
They talk about the Raptors winning one. If Austin Matthews, if they won the Stanley Cup, like forever, statue, everything, doesn't matter.
Agreed.
As I've said, but like those two are magic together, and Marner is on a different level right now. He had the slow start to the year, and now it's like you got to get Nylander going again. I don't think once this season they've had Nylander and Marner going at the same time. So if that can happen, look out. Now, what I've said is just get him to the playoffs. And Matthews' numbers are nice in the playoffs, aren't they? Like he's never really.
His only criticism
has he had an offensive struggle in any of these playoff exits? I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head. I'm looking it up quick.
I think games maybe 5, 6, and 7 against Montreal, there was a little bit of criticism, but
I guess his numbers haven't been. He only had 1 goal last year in the 7 games, 2 goals in the 5 games the year prior in the bubble. So I'll say it all comes down to the playoffs, like I've continued to kind of harp on. But this run offensively by Matthews and this goals per game, you're looking at an all-time great goal scorer. And I don't think it would surprise anyone to see this guy end his career with 600-700 goals. I mean, at what point is he going to not be a threat to get 50 to 60 every season? He's so big. He's strong. His skating continues to get better. He's a beast on the puck. He's not easy one bit to get off the puck. He's just like, he plays angry. He plays violent. And then his shot is top notch, one of the best I've seen. So a true, I think the first American to get 50 since John LeClair, maybe? RA, do you have that?
Yeah, John LeClair, I want to say 96, I believe, yeah.
Holy shit, that's been a long time, man.
I know. I was really surprised to hear that.
What was the other thing I was going to mention quickly? Oh, goals per game, too. I think that only Mike Bossy and Mario Lemieux are higher as far as goals per game so far, which I looked at Mike Bossy. I think he scored a goal .82 every .82 games.
Perhaps the most underrated goal scorer in NHL history.
Yeah, he doesn't get talked about enough.
Really doesn't at all.
And then Mario, we all know, shortened career, but holy shit, what a run.
Absolutely. Biz, let's get to Huberdeau. Huberdeau. Wednesday, Jonathan Huberdeau set the record for most assists by a left wing in a season when his 71st passed Joey Junot's 70 back with the 92-93 Bruins. And he added a pair in Saturday's incredible third period comeback to stun Jersey in OT, 7-6. Cats were down 6-2 going into the third period, rattled off 5 unanswered, including 2 by Barkov with the goal he pulled. But either way, back to Huberdeau. This guy, unreal. By the way, do these two not look like brothers? Did you see the picture they tweeted out, Barkov and
They
Huberdeau?
do look very similar.
Like friggin' brothers. But let's go to you for your take on Huberdeau breaking the assist record.
Just super skilled. Will never really get talked about enough because of where he plays unless they were to go on a cup run this year, which I have my questions about that team. I think they gave up, 6 to the Devils, 3 or 4 yesterday to Buffalo Sunday. I don't know about that team defense. I know Ekblad's out, but offensively they're as good as anyone in the league, and it's pretty much because of this guy. I know Barkov missed close to 13, 14 games this year, so he'd probably be over 90 points as well, but this guy's so sneaky the way he does it, and this is not – people could harp on me. He's a righty, but kind of Corey Perry-ish. Neither one of them are the best skaters, yet whenever you think you have them, and this is Perry's prime, his MVP season it's like they're just able to kind of weasel in and out of plays, and they open their feet up, and without being overly fast, they always are able to gain extra time and space because of little fakes they make, because of their hands. I think Huberdeau has such a good shot, and then he knows that that's backing off defensemen and getting goalies thinking, and then he's also able to make these beautiful passes. And, I mean, look at Duclair's numbers this year, right? Like, this isn't a fluke thing. He's got Huberdeau dishing. And to be a winger and to have that many assists, though, it's crazy because I'm sure he could have more goals. He's got 24, but if he's not a pass-first winger, he's looking at a 30, 40-goal season. So in tight, that's where I see the Perry is like any player or most normal players, they don't realize that they might have that split extra second that opens up the goalie's legs quicker or allows a passing angle to just kind of show up late. And that's why his patience and his skill reminds me of the Worm. And I think Huberdeau is one of the most liked players by his teammates. Like I got to experience the 7 games -7, 0 points. And I saw how cool he was. Just a great kid who's very professional too. I mean, I know I say that about a lot of guys who are successful in the league, so it is a cliche, but he loves the game. He shows up. He's very enjoyable to be around, and he's got this skill level that right now is kind of taken over, and you finally seen what he can do. Not finally, he had 90 points 4 years ago, but this year's been just a real extreme because he's going to end up with 110 points probably.
Yeah, and just to quickly add on the end here, that's what's making this MVP race so hard. You have a team like Florida who's so dominant in the East, and he's 25 points ahead of Barkov. You did mention that Barkov's missed, about a dozen games, 13 games, but man, to be leading your team by 25 points when you're the best team out East, and other than Colorado right now, it's hard to not make the argument that he's one of the guys who should be in that race and definitely considered.
And last year, that amazing series they had with Tampa, in 6 games the Panthers lost, but Hubie had 10 points. So, I mean, he was able to show up in the playoffs last year, so I wouldn't expect anything different come May this year.
All right, boys, well said. Good discussion there. I think we should send it over to our first guest now. We haven't talked about the Carolina Hurricanes too much lately, Biz. They've just been kind of on a roll all year. We've kind of revisited them a little bit, so we're happy to have Jordan Martinook come on and chat about his team a little bit. But first, we want to let you know that this interview is brought to you by Sport Clips. I don't take my broken phone screen to a mechanic for the same reason I don't trust my hair in the hands of my grandma's stylist. I want someone who specializes in me, and the experts at Sport Clips are trained specifically for guys' hair. Long, curly, short, thinning, thick, chubby face, skinny, whatever you look, they know how to cut and shape your hair to fit you best. They have an MVP of haircut experience. Awesome haircut, hot steamed towel, invigorating shampoo, neck and shoulder treatment. It takes a haircut and it turns it into an event. It takes your day and it turns it into a mancation. It will have you walking out feeling 10 feet tall with the confidence that says, bring it on. Sport Clips also has an online check-in so you never have to wait for your cut. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair. And now, enjoy Jordan Martinook. Well, it's been almost 2 years since we first had this Carolina Hurricane on with us. Right now, his team is leading the Metropolitan Division and is 3rd overall in the NHL. And he's currently resting a lower body injury, so I'm really happy he made some time for us. Thanks a bunch for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast. Once again, Jordan Martinook. How's it going, Marty?
Good. I came indoors because last time Whit gave it to me about the birds. So
No, that was Biz. That was Biz. Biz is the audio guy. Give it. I couldn't have cared less. I'm usually getting yelled at by these guys about my audio.
He's the Mike Tyson of the NHL. He's got a pigeon factory in his backyard. He is one, and he's got them.
Oh, I set myself up for that. Damn it.
That was the first thing I had down. Where are the birds today? But you guys have been humming along pretty good this season. I know there's been a little bit of a hiccup lately with the team. But what does Rod say to the rooms during something like this? Like, it has to be expected at some point in the season. You're going to lose a few in a row.
Yeah, well, I don't know if anybody's seen that game last night against the Rangers, but it was pretty.
It was dominating.
Dominating. Yeah, we just couldn't. And we just couldn't get them in. And I feel like my 3 years here, it's or 4 years now. I feel like we've gone through kind of a stretch like this every year, where it's maybe like 5 games where we're struggling to score, and then all of a sudden we break out of it, and then we're fine. And last night was I can't believe, like, you got to tip your cap to Gordon.
I don't think they touched the puck in the 3rd period, other than their empty net goal by Vetrano.
Yeah, I know. You could look. I was up in the nosebleeds up there, and you look down on the ice, and it was just like complete snow on one end, and it looked like nobody had touched it on the other ends. But you got to win.
How this year? I mean, one of the best teams in the league you guys have. So how has the crowd been? Because when you have a good team in Carolina, it seems like it's pretty crazy in there.
Yeah, no, they've been incredible. I think the other night they said this is the most sellouts we've had.
No way.
Like 15 years or something. I think we've sold out the last five or 7 games, and yeah, it's and usually after basketball, like March Madness, it just turns into like hockey crazy down here because they got nothing else to do, no college sports, so probably just going to be selling out for the rest of the way, and after Duke or UNC wins the whole thing, then they'll be cheering for us.
For maybe some hockey fans who don't watch you guys closely enough, probably the best defensive team, at least as far as goals given up. What's been the biggest difference this year? And I'm sure Frederik Andersen has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, Freddie and Rance have both been phenomenal. It's whenever you get good goaltending, it obviously it shores up a couple mistakes that get. I think if you're getting a big save when you make maybe a mistake that you could have, there'd be goals going in the past. But yeah, Freddie and Rance have been phenomenal, and you just look at our back end. Like, you got Slavo, who's probably up there, is probably the top defensive defenseman in the league, and then Pesh and Shazy have, in my mind, have probably been the best pair around the league. Like, those two together, they're both good defensively, and then obviously they picked it up offensively too this year. So our top four I put up against anybody, and then Smitty and Bearsy and Colsey have kind of been interchangeable back there, and they've all been good. So it starts back there. It starts with the goaltending, starts with the D, and then our forwards we're taught to skate. We pressure the puck everywhere, and if teams are trying to transition on us, we're back checking the hell out of it, and it's been a pretty good recipe.
In talking to Andersen, like, did you ask him maybe about playing in Toronto and what the media can do to a guy who's between the pipes? Like, had that come up at all, and does that factor in him able to come down there and kind of settle in a little bit easier?
I obviously he says the media is crazy, and it's something that you got to deal with on top of playing. And but he hasn't really got into depth about it. But then I have a friend of mine who's going through it right now. Like, I was pretty good friends with Mrazek, and seeing what he's going through right now in with the media, it's just crazy. So obviously Freddie, it was probably a breath of fresh air to have like a weight lifted off his back and be able to just play and be able to not have to worry about if you let in a goal that somebody's coming down your throat. It's just he's a little freer. I think it's definitely helped his confidence, and obviously he's been a good goalie for a long time, and it's just showing that, I don't know, maybe Toronto is a little too hard on him.
Yeah, scumbag fan base.
Steve Simmons hit piece coming at you if you let in a softie. Give out your health records.
What about you? I mean, coming back from an injury, hopefully soon enough you'll be right back in the lineup, but you must be seeing a little bit more Rod the Bod in the gym, right? Are you working out before practice when he's in there? Like, what's his whole schedule like? I know we chatted about this last time, but he's looking more jacked than ever since that big fine he had to deal with this year.
Well, he's usually in there at the crack of dawn, so I miss him by a little bit. But yeah, today he came in, he was all pissed. Our athletic trainer does like that March Madness brackets, and he like puts the standings up, and then he gives everybody little chirps here and there, and he gave Roddy a pretty good chirp, and Roddy came in the training room when I was in there, and he was all fired up that he was chirping him about his March Madness bracket. His veins were popping out.
We heard stories of the fact that he made sure everybody else was locked up before he ended up re-signing as head coach. Like, yeah. Are you able to share the information? Do you know the full backstory behind all of it? I know the owner's cheap. You don't have to say it, but he ended up helping all the other guys get locked in before he did, correct?
I think, I don't know 100%. I think that's what happened, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But he was very adamant that he wanted everybody to stay. So he did everything in his power to make sure that our guys that we've had here for the past, I don't know, however long, they were going to stay around and get taken care of. So, yeah, I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did that. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I think he did that.
Maybe regretting doing it for the trainer after the chirps for fucking the NCAA practice.
Like, I got you a new deal and you're chirping me right now? Fucking asshole.
Yeah, that would. You might hold that over those guys' heads a little bit.
Marty, Biz was just talking about the D. You guys lost Dougie in the offseason to free agency, but you bring in Tony DeAngelo, and you really don't miss a beat. What has he been able to do that you guys, again, just kind of picked up where you left off with no Dougie?
Yeah, I think Tony's been obviously you knew what type of player he was in New York, and however that ended or however it played out, it's I'm just happy, and I'll be the first to admit me and him got into it in the playoffs, and me and him weren't the best, 100% the best of friends, but this year has been unbelievable. It's I can't say enough good things about him. Even our relationship is great. And it's good to see it's just like he picked up, like he didn't miss a beat, and he missed pretty much the whole season last year. And his offensive game is just, it's right there with the top in the league. And you can see it when he was out and our power play was struggling, because he's kind of the quarterback back there, and he's been running it, and he's just been hilarious in the room. And he's been a well added addition, and obviously he's probably going to be getting paid this summer.
Does he run court in the room? Is he the funny guy?
He's funny. He's got like that Philly Jersey accent with and I always knew he was funny. It was just he's been incredible. I can't say enough good things.
What was the first interaction with him in training camp? Was it a bit awkward because of the history you guys have had? Maybe the old dead fish handshake?
Before we even got to training camp, I had touched base with him, and I said, whatever happened in the past, we'll wipe it off and start fresh. And that's exactly what we did. And it's been, like I said, it's been good. I don't know if I change anything this year. It's been awesome.
But back to Brind'Amour a little bit, because I'm so interested by him, the way he coaches. It seems like all you guys love playing for him, and he's such a professional. And when it comes to relationships with the players, is he a guy doing a lot of one-on-one meetings? Is he calling guys in who are struggling or playing good? Like, what's his whole how he approaches each guy? Is it the same, or does he kind of change it up depending on the player a little bit?
Honestly, he's like our practices are pretty much the same, and he pounds like our video sessions. It's like the way we play. Yeah. And he's always kind of pounding away at that, and then he's not super vocal on the bench. Like, if obviously you screw up, he's going to let you know. But for the most part, he lets us play because I feel like he's established, or he's instilled like the system of how he wants it done. And he kind of knows that we're going to go out and do it that way. And if you're not going to do it that way, then you're not going to play, pretty much. And, I think it starts with how he treats like Aho and Svetch. He demands a lot from them. He demands them to play just the exact same as everybody else. And I think that helps his communication with other guys, because if, say, Aho goes off the rails a little bit and he gives it to him, then everybody's like, okay, well, he holds like Aho to the standard. He's holding everybody to the same standard, which is, I think, a good thing for a coach.
Speaking of Aho, him and Svechnikov, I guess they're kind of like the two-headed monster there. We see that on other teams. What do these guys do that maybe the average fan isn't catching or isn't noticing out there?
With Aho, it's just his like pressure on the puck. If you really watch, he's always like right on the hip of the D man, and he's so good with his stick. Even last night, just watching, I'm like, here, Niederreiter was suspended, and we're watching, and it's just like he's so good at kind of knowing when to pick a spot, when to go, and he's usually gets it every time. Like, it's pretty phenomenal. And then his work ethic, skill wise, is he works so hard on his skill so he can be one of the best players in the league. And Svetch is obviously, it's been well noted, he'll go out and skate. He's like the young Yager. He'll go skate till 12:30 and shoot pucks. And
oh, really?
Gets blisters on his hands for shooting pucks
after the Russian gas
after games. Yeah. But yeah, he's always trying new stuff, and it's it's just those guys just work at it so much. It's impressive to see all the time they put into it.
Are you still yelling in his face in the tunnel before games, even when you're injured? Like you come down with the suit on?
No, not when I'm hurt. I have in the past when I've been hurt, but I'm not this year.
What's the origin of that? How did that all start?
Just started when he was 18. It's just you could just tell he was like a little nervous his first couple games, and I did some stupid shit to try and loosen him up, and that it's kind of went different ways throughout the years, but it's kind of back to the original right now, and I feel like he's not superstitious, but he always kind of wants. I don't know if he wants me to do it.
Because he looks like he's got resting bitch face when you do it sometimes. I don't know if sometimes you get a little phlegm coming out and hit him in the eye or something.
More for me than it is for him, I think. But I don't know. It is what it is. Maybe one day I'll just be like, hey, you need to stop this. But for now he hasn't said anything, and I'm still doing it. So
you're like, I'm not stopping. We keep winning, so you're just going to keep doing it. And you mentioned he might have been a little nervous at the beginning of his career, so you started ripping his name off like that. But this Seth Jarvis, man, he just turned 20 years old. His rookie year has been outstanding. I mean, I saw him play. It's like he plays like a veteran a little bit. Have you seen nerves from him maybe early in the season, or the whole time have you been kind of blown away with how kind of calm and cool he seems on the ice?
Yeah, you kind of nailed it on the head. He's been well kind of beyond his years. And I think we seen that just from training camp. He was just doing the things that he wasn't, you'd think like a 19-year-old kid that's coming out of junior would be coming in trying to like dangle around. And he never did that. It was like, he knew if he wanted to make this team, he was going to have to do it Roddy's way. And he has from day one. And obviously he's in our system. It's not like you're taking skill away from anybody. It's just, you get to you use your skill in different places. And when you have the time to use it, he encourages you to use it. And Jarvy's definitely done that. But I think with him, he reminds me of like a little surfer from California, the way he talks.
Looks like a South Park character.
His big, like me and Stepan, we always bug him. We're like, Jarvy, man, like what's going on? Like maybe in a past life he was like a hippie from California.
Maybe he's ripping the bong before practice. No,
that's
why you can't say that.
Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. I don't think he is, but you never know.
Were you a little nervous about the trade deadline at all?
No, I don't know. No, I don't.
It's like, Biz, you trying to tell me something?
Am I getting traded?
No. I thought I was
going. What time is it?
I thought I was talking to Grinelli, and he was saying he might be a little bit nervous about the deadline coming up here.
Wow, he's shriveling. G's saying you're getting traded, I guess, Marty. What the hell's going on?
Well, we're the rumor boys, so we throw out every guy's name.
Well, Biz told me I'm getting traded to Arizona for a tab, so. It shows me what I'm worth in his eyes.
When you made a comment about Rod the Bod kind of going back to basics when you guys, or specifically Aho and Svechnikov, when they get off the rails. What do you mean by that? When maybe they kind of their offensive instincts start kind of taking over a little bit and getting out of structure?
Yeah, I think when we kind of get in trouble, it goes. Like we're a north-south team. And I feel like all the good teams, it's the same way. It's you're chipping pucks in, and then you're just wearing teams down, and that's kind of that's what we do. And whenever we're trying to make like cute little plays at the blue line and try and maybe burn a guy one-on-one, and then you're getting it turned over and it's going the other way, then that's when he gets fired up. And he'll definitely call you out on those ones, and you try and I don't really have to worry about that because no matter what, I'm chipping the puck in. But yeah, it's crazy to see when we do play not like we're not playing good. It's obvious what we're doing. So
he'll do straight video sessions though, where he'll like pause it and look at the guy and just be like, "What the fuck is this?" Will it get?
Oh, he doesn't call the guys out that hard, but he'll just be like, this isn't how we do it, or see. And it's not like calling a. But you're the guy on the video. You're like, oh shit, yeah, that's me.
You just sink back in your stall.
Yeah,
so you think it's him? You think it's him being a former player in terms of not really embarrassing guys? Like he knows after playing, like that's not the way to go about things. Where you'll see some coaches who maybe never played at the highest level not really care about really embarrassing a guy in front of his teammates.
Yeah, I would say that for sure. Like, how many times did you sit in
I got it a lot.
Video room. Yeah, it's horrible. It's like ruins your day. Probably ruins your week when you sit there and you get called out. And, I think that's why guys like him. And obviously there's times where he's got to get on you a little more than he should, but it's never because he doesn't like you, which is, I feel like sometimes you're like, this coach hates me.
Yeah.
And I don't think any guy on our team would ever think that with Roddy.
Marty, it's already been 2 years since you guys got Vinny Trocheck. Man, it felt like it was yesterday. He kind of seemed like he fit right in like a hand in a glove with you guys.
Yeah, he's does everything for us. He's PK, power play, kind of. I feel like this year he's played with everybody too. He's been phenomenal. So obviously we got a bunch of guys that are up this year, and hopefully we can keep all of them. And he's definitely one that he's a special one that we're gonna want to keep around.
Who's that right there? What's your dog's name?
That's Gus. You want to say hi?
Oh my God, that's a cute dog.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 9. He's been with me through it all, so he's my guy.
Wow. I was gonna say on camera here, your unibrow looks pretty good. What have you been doing to treat that? I don't know if we talked about it last time.
I put a hat on to cover it because these puppies are getting a little. I haven't got them waxed for like a month and a half.
You ever go to the tweezers on the road if you haven't booked a waxing appointment?
No, I hate tweezing. Hurts too much. I told you this before. I'm a wax guy.
It's been 2 years. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, tweezing is brutal. Go ahead.
Who would you say? I'm looking at your roster right now. Like who's the biggest snap show on the team? Who maybe will come in just flipping out if he plays poorly or has a call go against him? Is there one guy who kind of jumps out as a lunatic, or is it you?
All the Finns.
No shit.
Our Finns they got short fuses.
Kotkaniemi?
Kotkaniemi's got a short fuse. Teravainen, short fuse. Aho, short fuse. Those guys they're nuts.
I saw a picture that the Hurricanes tweeted, actually. I think it was Jarvis, maybe Aho, and Kotkaniemi out on the golf course they were playing. He looks like a truck. Now, maybe Jarvis and Aho are a little skinny and smaller, but he's a pretty big dude to be flipping out, I guess, all the time in the locker room.
It's not all the time, but our bench door might fall off. He slams her a few times.
Well, you just mentioned the golf course. Weren't you guys with Harry Styles? Isn't that the guy they were on the golf course with?
Don't say you guys. There was a couple there. Marty, Nikash, and Aho were with Harry.
How did they meet him? What was the connection? I mean, he's a fucking A-lister.
Well, we got a nice little private club here that a few of the boys are members at, and Harry wanted to go play some nice golf, and I think Justin Williams actually had something to do with connecting that. So
is that Chatham, like old Chatham or something like that?
That's old Chatham.
Yeah, I heard that's
nice
a track.
What did they say he was like?
Said he was good. Yeah, I don't think he drank. He's not a drinker, so
he's just a fucker.
He's just crushing everybody's wives. Like fucking, what's his name? Who's the guy?
Jason Sudeikis.
Jason
Ted Lasso,
Sudeikis.
yeah.
Did they ask him why he stole Jason Sudeikis' wife?
I don't think they got into that. They had the wrong guys out there.
I would have fucking asked him.
Guys out there with them.
Right before a big putt. Hey, why'd you steal Ted Lasso's wife?
Oh, is this to win the Nassau? Hey, why are you fucking other guys' wives?
Do the boys play a lot of golf on that? Like, are they getting out there a good amount? I mean, the weather's perfect the whole year there, I feel like.
We play a little bit. I think this last month we've had we played like a 3 and 4, and then we've had 3 or 4 days off, and we play a 3 and 4, and then 4 days off. So, there's a few of the guys went to Pinehurst last week. We've been playing a little bit.
Looking at the stats, Slavin's already got 10 penalty minutes in 60 games. Is the guys give him shit? Guys give him shit for that in the room, considering he only had 2 last year.
Yeah, I guess we got to get on him. But and the 10 this year, they've been. I think he's got they've all been
roughing
stick penalties. It wasn't even over the glass this year. So yeah, we got to get on him about that.
So when are we going to see you back in the lineup? Or are you not really willing to say yet? But you kind of seem to be thinking it's kind of coming to an end here, your injury?
Well, it's only been 4 days, and I think I left my hamstring in the rafters of the ACC up there. But yeah, it's coming along. It shouldn't be too long.
Nice. These are the doldrum days anyways. You just want to maybe get back 6-7 games before the playoffs, then go cruising right in.
Yeah. No, I need to get my reps up.
Now it's late in the season. What will Rod tell the team? I know, like Whit says, kind of the doldrums here. You guys have been first place pretty much the whole season. What's he telling you guys just to keep your mental awareness, being acute mentally and all that shit?
Yeah, well, I think our schedule here coming up, like we play playoff teams for the next while, so those, and even when you're not playing teams that are in the mix, the games coming down to it are always hard games. Like when I was with Arizona, I felt like we were always out of it pretty early when I was with them, and we were playing some of our best hockey at the end of the year because guys are playing for contracts and try and play spoiler. I guess it's cliche, but those games are sometimes harder than the teams that are already in it.
Are you guys still doing the storm surges after the game? And can you guys even can you think of new ideas for all that shit? It seems like it's like you guys have done a zillion of them now.
Well, it's kind of just that skull clap. We do that out. Everybody goes around like the center ice dot, and we do the skull clap, and everybody in the crowd still claps, and it's still cool to see them engaged that way. But honestly, you'd go nuts trying to think of new ones and we were on a pretty big heater here at home. I think we won like 12 of 13, and even the year we were doing all the different ones. We were killing ourselves for like hours at pregame meal trying to come up with ideas, and it just took a toll on you. So I'm happy it kind of went to where it is, and I think every now and again we'll whip something out, but it's been good, the clap.
Jordan Stahl, he's been the captain there for a long time. Is he more of a leader by what he does, or is he pretty vocal in the room? What's his leadership like?
No, he when he can snap sometimes too, and when he does, everybody
pays attention.
Your assholes pucker up a little bit, and you're like, okay, here we go. But for the most part, it's just it's how he plays, and he goes out and does it the exact same way every night, and he's a beast. And I call him a Clydesdale horse because
he is a Clydesdale.
Yeah, and so yeah, he leads by example, and that's probably the best way to put it.
Well, Marty, we appreciate you hopping on. Hopefully you get healthy soon, get ready for the playoffs, and it's an exciting team you guys have to watch. So hopefully it's a long run, and we appreciate you joining the show again.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Hopefully I'm not dealt after this.
Yeah.
Biz just got you traded.
Breaking news.
But we can have you on next week to talk about your new team, so it's good news.
Get me rewrite.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, boys.
Big thanks to Marty for jumping on with us. I want to let you know that his interview is also brought to you by Roman. Newsflash, you suck in bed. Yikes. That's why you want to use Roman, the secret to longer-lasting sex. Roman swipes are a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. They're effective, easy to use, and fast-acting, and the best part, they do not require a prescription. Roman can ship swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipes packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. They're super easy to use. You just take the swipes out of the packet, you swipe it on, you let it dry, and you're
good to go.
That's it. So go to GetRoman.com/Chiclets to get your first month of swipes for just $5 when you choose a monthly plan. That's GetRoman.com/Chiclets. Well, boys, I feel like we talked about 9,000 controversial things already, and we still haven't even gotten to the Taylor Hall Maple Leaf stuff last week.
The second coming of Bertuzzi?
You would think so in this town, but all right, let's rewind. The Leafs jumped out to a 6-1 lead versus Boston last week, hung on for a 6-4 win, but all everybody wanted to talk about was Taylor Hall reacting to the Lyubushkin hit from behind by punching him in the head. Leafs fans and media thought there was a suspension coming, which I thought was pretty laughable. He ends up getting a $5,000 fine. Lyubushkin did not play Thursday, but all right, we'll go to you first. Leafs super fan. Did you think Hall was a fine suspension? What should have happened there?
Well,
Anything?
if the league's not going to suspend him, I will. 1 year suspension from the podcast. I'm no longer doing the lip gloss with him. When I see him, I'll probably have a conversation with him off to the side. I thought it was ridiculous. And ultimately, they got outskilled. And we already had this conversation about getting outskilled and the barbaricness of the melee of afterward. And in one situation, the Leafs didn't even provoke them to do this. They simply made a play up the wall, and Taylor Hall's wires crossed. And I think he, much like MacKinnon, should be locked up and put in solitary confinement. So I've said my piece.
He has an open fist when he hits him. It looks like only his thumb hits him. I'm not saying at all Lyubushkin's faking anything, but it was so weird to me that he got hurt on that. I mean, I did not see like that. It wasn't that hard. It wasn't a fist. It was just kind of like a little bump to his chin. Maybe he's got kind of a glass jaw, Leaf style. I don't know what happened.
No, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever watched a Steven Seagal movie, but he got him right here in the pressure point in the back, and sometimes that can happen.
Maybe he's a black belt, so he knew what he was doing too. But I mean, fine, okay. I didn't see a suspension there. I'm not a Bruins fan. People think I'm a Bruins fan. Fuck the Bruins.
Typical Leafs.
I just didn't see a suspension there. Murls, you're the independent guy here. You know I can't
Murls,
stand the Leafs.
would you admit when the game got out of hand, the Bruins started gooning it up?
That's what's supposed to happen when a game gets out of hand. You're supposed to
not when
it up.
Not when it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, and not when they were barely even celebrating their goals. They weren't even putting their arms in the air. They weren't poking at goalies. I know that.
They might see him in the Eastern Conference Finals or in the playoffs at some point. You want to send a little message for the playoffs. That's what we were always taught to do. Hey, we might see this team again. Go out there and do something. Okay.
By the way,
soft team in Toronto.
That is the team, Biz, you want to play in the first round. I think they'd dust the Bruins.
Wow. No way. No way.
I would not want to play the Bruins. I mentioned in that behind
this. Dude, they are. That is their best matchup.
I like the Canes.
How do you like the Canes?
For the mental aspect of Freddie Anderson's got to come back to Toronto too. I just think that's going to sway a lot. Murls, do you agree with that?
And I'd like to see it, but
Leafs are too hot right now. They're not going to end up in that wild card, so there's no chance that they end up playing Carolina. I would love to get retribution on the Boston Bruins after that 3-1 meltdown. And then what was it? Was it 4-1 in that Game 7? Or was it 3-1?
It's 4-1.
4-1.
It was 4-1.
2013, yeah.
When they had that full-on meltdown. But this is a different team, and they're built differently. And I know that people were criticizing me for saying Dubas was the second-best GM at the deadline other than Bill Guerin. But those moves are proven to be...
No goalie.
Chef's kiss.
Don't have a goalie.
Leafs just lost.
They don't need a fucking goalie. They could put, what's his name in net? Who's the
McKenna?
No, not McKenna. They cannot have McKenna. Who is the e-book? They can get David Ayers. Tell him to fucking come play for the Leafs. He can be a net. That's how many goals they're going to be scoring in playoffs.
I forgot their e-bug beat them. Oh, that was so good.
What else do we got?
Peter Mrazek, he's likely going to miss 6 weeks with a groin injury. He's not going to be available for the start of the playoffs. Jack Campbell was medically cleared. It's going to be interesting to see what goes on, considering the way things went last year. But I don't know.
This team isn't built for a playoff run, Biz. You can't, they don't have goalies. They don't have great defense.
Speaking of that, Grunelli.
They're getting bullied by the Bruins when they're down 6-2, when they're up 6-2.
Oh, yeah, that's because Simmons didn't answer the bell, but he did the other night against Philadelphia.
Wow, he killed somebody there.
Grunelli.
Sent me to somebody the other night.
I got a good chuckle. You landed in Toronto yesterday on Twitter, put out a video of the skyline and Rogers Center and said, in Toronto smells like another first-round exit. And you deleted it.
I did because
people
thought I was saying that the Rogers Center was Scotiabank, and I was getting so many tweets that were like, "You're an idiot. You think the Rogers Center is Scotiabank." I was just taking a video of the Space Needle. I got the Rogers Center. It did, and it actually
Space
did.
Needle.
It smelled like a first round exit all over Toronto right now, and it still does. They're not built for a playoff run, Biz.
Space
see.
Needle. Let's get some of that Pacific
We will
Northwest
we
good
will
in
see.
here. A couple of the Bruins notes as well. Thursday versus the Devils, they honored Tuukka Rask, had him drop the ceremonial puck before the game. He's going to be a brand ambassador for the team going forward. Also, pretty cool moment, the local lad and undrafted free agent from BC, Mark McLaughlin, very first NHL game. I think he had all of his family and friends there. They looked like hundreds of people. He scores an absolute snipe goal on a 2-on-1. Fantastic goal. Just a cool moment. We saw it earlier with Matt Boldy on Minnesota as a visitor at the home team. And one other note, too. We want to send our best wishes to John Grzelcyk, the father of Boston defenseman Matty Grzelcyk. He had his final radiation treatment the other day at MGH. No one even knew he had cancer. He went to work every day. And Matty's brother Andrew said that he actually slept at the Garden. There was a blizzard. He slept at the Garden for the night before his first radiation treatment so he could walk to MGH Hospital because there was going to be a blizzard. And this guy didn't miss a day of work. His coworkers didn't even know that he was getting his treatment. He's just a salt-of-the-earth guy. Tremendous guy. Everybody in the town knows him. He's been a hard worker forever. And Grizzy, you're a great guy. We're glad to hear you doing well, and I can't wait to see you around the barn again. So good job, brother.
That's great news.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously, I was really happy for the McLaughlin kid. Came out of BC, had a big senior year offensively, chose to go to the Bruins. And, I mean, from Bill Ricco, was undrafted, kind of used that as motivation. And I think he could have a long pro career. I really do. It seems like he's one of those guys, smart at both ends, Bruin-style player. But to see a local kid score his first goal, at home, signing with the hometown team, that was a really cool story.
They've had a lot of that this year. And then when Boldy came back to town with Minnesota, it's just something about that United Center. Is it called United? Or
yeah,
no?
Chicago.
Oh, no.
We're having some geographical issues this
I had a
episode.
little bit of a brain fart.
Also, the Rangers signed UMass product Bobby Trevino to a 2-year entry.
They get all the fucking good college guys, New York.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Other teams are sleeping, man. I mean, undrafted free agents from college have been...
Well, they're not sleeping. They have the choice.
They're
right?
from Long Island in New York. I think, Fox is from Long Island? And the UMass kids from
What's
Long
that
Island.
rub and
They
tug
grew up
in
going there.
NYC? The Garden? What is it called?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It was next
Something
to
garden.
it was where we had the photo shoot. It was right next to the photo shoot.
Yeah. They're
in New
bringing
York.
them there. That's how they're getting them to sign these contracts.
Quiet, Murls.
Hey, there was a
They're
guy
getting
just
them-
outside the window here peeking in on us.
dude.
That scared the hell out of me.
Crazy that they put the signs
washing
in
the windows?
Yeah.
Dude, you couldn't pay me $10 million a year to do that job. No
Yeah,
way.
you could,
no.
hey, yeah, you could.
No. Wow.
$10 million, bro?
Dude, I mean, I would just be shitting my pants
Look
the
how
whole
mad
time
you
out
are.
there. Dude, I don't know,
Well,
man.
it's $10 million. Like talking money. $10 million. They're going to train you. You got a rope on. I'm pretty sure you would do it for 10 sheets.
I wish I had a rope on me. Anyways, I was saying the Rangers signed Bobby Trevino to a 2-year entry-level contract. That doesn't start till next season. He's on an ATO at Hartford this season, amateur tryout, so I just want to add that as well. I think that went over your heads a little bit.
You're the best, all right.
Yeah, you're the best fucking bellows.
You think you're the only one who could say jokes that nobody gets around here? Yeah, wait.
I think I'm the Stanley Cup champ of that. Jonathan Toews, just the latest NHL guy to play 1,000 games. He played his 1,000th Wednesday in Sunrise, Florida. He's the 8th Hawk to do so, the 336th NHLer to do so. This is a guy who's got 3 cups, 2 Olympic golds, a Conn Smythe, a Selke. There was a couple articles I sent you guys, too. I guess he's a very demanding teammate, very hands-on guy. His teammates love him, but did you ever have a teammate that you would get frustrated because he would just be in your face so much? Apparently, Toews is like that.
He's taking a page out of Jordan's book. He used to grill guys at practice every day. Now, I don't want to take away from Toews here, but I feel like I've done 1,000 game talks on this podcast. I feel like everybody this season's played 1,000 games. Whit, do you have anything left in the tank to deliver something on Jonathan Toews playing 1,000 games? Because I'm just worn out by these 1,000 games.
No, just a great accomplishment. It was cool. I think it was Seabrook, Hossa, Shaw. I think I'm forgetting 1 or 2 guys. that were
Grinnell's
back.
Teammate, Patrick Sharp.
Oh.
Did I see him out there?
Sharpie.
The guy
Maybe
Grinnell
that was
looked
it.
osee on a 2-on-1.
It's true. It's true. We're champions
And
for life.
fell. But they were there, and they were kind of there. He was getting his stick. You could see his parents there, and it's been a little tumultuous the last few years. He missed the season. Now he's still coming back from this long COVID bout he's had. I don't know how it's going to end for him as a Blackhawk, but he'll forever be a great there. So to see him get 1,000 games is pretty sick. But you're right, Biz. We've had so many guys around that age who've had such good careers get 1,000 this year that I'm a little worn out.
Do you think he gets a statue?
No.
No statue? 3 Stanley Cups?
Because it's like him or Kane. unless they give them both one, I don't know.
Fair.
Do you guys think there is all these 1,000th games? One, because the way they're training and taking care of themselves, or two, the lack of like physicality that we were talking about earlier, or maybe just a combination of both? Because I feel like this has never happened in the history of the game.
I think more so the way guys are taking care of themselves.
The opposite of
around.
And I think those guys that age is just, there were so many ridiculous players, like the 85 to 87 birth years. There's just been stud after stud that you didn't see that many guys get 1,000 born from like 80 to 84, unless go look it up. I'd love to see 80 birth dates to 84 birth dates, 1,000 games in the NHL opposed to 85 to 89 birth dates.
Yeah, you're getting thrown in too right away from the draft, I guess. Like every 18-year-old's playing now too.
So yeah,
that's starting earlier.
Well, someone made the point that the lockout had a lot to do with it, because that draft was able to go play in the American League that year, and then when they came back, a lot of those like veteran guys had really lost the step, and then with the no clutching and grabbing, not only were those those 85s primed and ready to go, but there was more that were able to take those jobs. So yes, that has a lot to do with it as well. So we can move on from the 1,000 games.
Yeah, in that same game, actually, Jumbo Joe Thornton became just the 6th player in NHL history to play in 1,000 wins between regular season and playoffs combined. Lidstrom.
That's a lot of fun locker rooms after the game for Jumbo.
Lidstrom, Chelios, Malo.
A lot of cock helicopters.
Malo, Messier, Stevens, the only other guys to do so. Let's see. Undrafted forward Tyler Johnson, who scored some of the biggest playoff goals in the history of the Tampa Bay Lightning, won 2 cups there. He made his return to Tampa Friday night. Got an awesome video tribute, nice standing O from the crowd. Good read about him, too, I sent over to you guys. Cooper called him, quote, one of the game changers, end quote, for Tampa Bay franchise history. And Whit, let's go to you for a little Ty Joe take.
Well, Whit, before you go, like he was one of those guys I believe was open to the expansion draft as well, and never got selected by Vegas, and just kind of a guy who got pigeon tossed a little bit, kind of like the Dadonov special, but still came back and played hard and was a pivotal piece in the Stanley Cups in the back-to-back for the Lightning.
Yeah, and a lot of people have mentioned how they lost their third line of Coleman, Gordon, Gaudreau, and it's like not many people are talking about that they lost Johnson, and he was playing up and down the lineup, certainly at the end of his Lightning career lower, but the fact that they had him playing on the fourth line kind of showed how good that team was. They're really going to miss him. I think they're probably still missing him. What happened is he signed that deal, and then some players came in, and so it was almost like a money thing where they couldn't afford him. I'm sure the Lightning would still love to have him if he was making less money, but he came on the scene, and I remember that run they had. They beat the Bruins. Was it the second round, RA? And he was unstoppable. I think Teddy Purcell was on that team. He's just like this water bug who was so hard to play against, an American kid, but he played in the WHL, if I have that correct. So I didn't know much about him. And then he came to Tampa, and kind of one of those guys that was there for the switch and the turnaround. And that run that they made to the Cup Finals when they lost to the Blackhawks, he was one of their best players. I mean, he was their guy. And so
he was injured.
You see the Cup.
He ended up getting injured, and that was a big reason as to why the Chicago probably went on to win.
And I just remember like seeing right away, like, holy fuck, this guy, he's kind of got a nonstop motor, and not many people knew that much about him. But after being one of the players who had all the success in the AHL with Coop winning a Calder Cup, he came up with that entire crew. They learned how to win young, and that kid was an enormous player, because once they got Kucherov and Stamkos, like Stamkos was there, granted, but like they had some real game breakers that started coming in and making differences. His lineup spot kind of lowered down a little bit, but only to have him play on a third, fourth line role and to have that much skill while also having like the motor of forechecking and kind of being in your face all the time. It's what made the Lightning Cup champs 2 years in a row, is guys like that. So you've seen all these return visits and guys get their rings and get to see their teammates, but Johnson made an enormous impact even before the 2 cups in the years prior.
And if they did win that cup in 15, he was probably the likely Conn Smythe winner. He was led the league in scoring and goals that year.
Did he break his leg in that, or was it his arm?
I can't remember yesterday, let alone 2015, Paul. Another pretty cool highlight out of Tampa Bay, Zach Bogosian and his son Hunter had a nice little scrap on the ice. Did you see that, Whit? His 3-year-old son Hunter, he brought him out.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't? I included in the feed.
This kid would probably pound my son.
Get him again. Get him against Hezbollah.
Hezbollah, what a video. Check that out if you haven't. Caleb and Hezbollah in Dubai.
Oh, yeah. Unreal interview. So, yeah, just a cute little video that the people threw out. I'm sorry, that Zach threw out there. Nice little clip.
The same people going at Tyson Nash are now going at Bogosian.
He's going to teach his kid violence. Shut up. We had a real fluky thing happen. I was talking to Biz last night with. I wonder what the odds are of this. Both Sebastian and Aho scored within 34 seconds of each other the other night. Like, it has to be, what, 1,000,000 to 1 odds that this happens?
No, I read something that the Aho only has 3 goals on the Islanders, and the same night the other one scored like 2 out of the 3 nights or something crazy like that. So
whatever you just said made no sense.
So this Aho on the Islanders has 3 goals, and on 2 of the days the real good Aho scored the same day. So the odds
I was surprised
the odds aren't
they
that
both
crazy.
Weren't from Finland. I thought Sebastian Aho's a name. You got a Sweden, you got a Finn. I was surprised to hear different nations there. But it was still wild to see that happen. It was, what'd you say, 30 seconds?
Within 34 seconds, real time. And it was just the 3rd goal for the defensive Aho and the 176 for the forward Aho in Carolina. So, yeah, that's just a crazy fluke thing. Radko Gudas with perhaps the check of the year. One of the best highlights of the year. Absolutely sends Kirby Dach ass over Tika with a Kasparaitis-like hip check. I think if you zoom in on the audio, Biz, you can hear Kirby Dach going, fuck.
Good one, R.A. I actually got your joke for once.
As he hits the ice, but we don't see too many hits like that anymore.
Old school.
Radko is old school as you
He
can
is
get.
old school. He's a great number 5 or 6 down there in Florida. The shot blocker, the physical presence. He looks like he's out of like a Lord of the Rings or something with that beard too.
Yeah, he does. Big old bushy beard. He just played in his 600th game the other night as well. So congrats to Radko Gudas on the accomplishment. Evander Kane set a record since we last met, Paul. He racked up 4 penalties in just 7:41 of game time to set a new expansion era record. He got a roughing, an interference, and 2 trippings. You ever see a guy get rung up this many times in one night? Obviously not in that short period of time.
I don't think he gives a shit, and like it's a little different when you know you're not going to get sat more than likely, unless he did get sat after it, but he's probably doesn't give a fuck. No worse feeling than when you take a penalty, and I think it happened with Duhaime the other night with Minnesota, and then he got out of the box, next shift, took another penalty, they ended up scoring on it. And when you're a depth guy, I mean, when you take 2 minors, and 4 and 7 and change in game time, I wouldn't see the lineup for 15 games.
No, guys like us were done after the first penalty. We weren't allowed even out there to take a second penalty.
That's all.
I can't believe after the 3rd, though, he was back out there again. It's like, at some point, you got to be like, all right, you're going to at least sit the rest of the period. You cannot not go into the penalty box. But the 4th at 7 minutes, I mean, there had to be something going on with him and the ref. I've never heard of anything like that. 4 in a game's ridiculous, let alone 1 period.
I was killing
half of a period.
I was killing penalties when I was in Cardiff, and I obviously didn't give that much of a shit because I didn't have to block shots or do anything when I was in Arizona, right? I more had sympathy. But we had that Luke Piggott, the guy I said that was becoming a doctor, and he ended up like finding a cure for breast cancer while I was playing with him in Cardiff. 1 game, like he was like the 10th forward because they only do 3 lines and change there. And he took 3 minors in like a period, and I came in the locker room. I felt bad. I fucking lost my mind on this guy because we had to kill all this fucking guy's penalties off. He had 3 and 3 shifts for fuck's sakes.
So because you were the Jonathan Taves of that league.
I was in his kitchen.
Like he was to us on the Big Deal Select.
Yeah, I was
losing
it. Oh, yeah.
You guys gave the clip to TNT there.
That's right.
Chewing us out. That was fun to see.
You know.
Blake Wheeler, I think he might have taken a Roman swipes for his penalty shot versus Craig Anderson last week, Biz. He went in really slow. We've seen guys coming in all different angles, coming in slow, but did you think his goal should have been allowed? Did you think
100%. Buffalo Sabres fans, shut the fuck up. Right. Even the goalie was complaining. Try using a poke check, right? I mean, he's coming down. I know he ends up pulling it back, but he didn't stop his momentum. All he did was choke up on a stick where the puck ended up coming from. Like the puck did move backwards, but if you don't stop your forward momentum from a body position standpoint, absolutely ridiculous. There's a reason why it was a goal. Nobody said boo-hoo afterward from the league, right?
No, it was
just Sabres fans being poopy pants.
And the goalie did seem so disgusted in himself at the end. Like, almost, why didn't I flurry poke check him? Like, he was 3 inches in front of me. I don't know what the complaint was from Buffalo there. That That was just he weighted him out so bad that it just almost looked worse for the goalie than it actually was.
Yeah, all right. Patrick Laine, he doesn't shoot for rebounds. Biz, gee, why don't you play that clip?
Do you see Gavrikov coming back door on the goal that he scored off of your shot? Were you looking for a rebound there, or were you trying to score with your shot?
No, I don't shoot for rebounds. I shoot to score. So, no.
I mean, this guy's just all-time reply.
He's a quote machine.
He has the report asked, did you shoot for rebounds? I don't
I know, we just heard the clip.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Fuck you, Biz.
Hey, play the clip, and then let me tell you the clip after.
That's usually my line. You took galvanized from me, and now you took me saying, I roll the clip, Grinelli.
That's my pie. All right, either way, he's absolute character. Kirill Kaprizov set a new team record for points in a season Saturday in Carolina with his 84th point with an assist on a Zuccarello goal. He broke Marian Gabourik's team record and added his 85th point with a goal. He still has 15 games to shatter this record, Biz. Minnesota also extended your former teammate, defenseman Alex Goligoski, with a
still going
two-year, $4 million deal. God bless him.
Took Witt's job.
Yeah,
one of the guys.
Still getting paid.
One of the many to take my job over the course of 4 different teams.
Yeah,
but I love Goose.
And
I'm glad that he's there. What?
Oh, I was just going to say, and no sophomore slump for Kaprizov. Like, he looks even better than last year. Incredible chemistry with Zuccarello. What are you laughing at?
No.
Oh, you're just shaking.
Yeah.
And the Wild have never had a player like this, and I know that Gaborik had some big time seasons there, but he was a goal scorer. He didn't need a setup man, but he was strictly a goal scorer. This guy can do it all. He's probably going to break the goal record is right there for a season. The point record he already has, and he creates so much more offensively for guys around him than Gaborik did, or Gaborik. I always said it incorrect, like every other name. I apologize. But he's the best player the Wild I've ever had, and he's so fun to watch, too, because if it's a goal, one thing, or it's a sick pass, the other thing, and him and Zuccarello, I think Zuccarello had a quote. He goes, we're the same exact person. Like, we get along so well. I'm just older than him. So the connection that they have on the ice makes sense, considering how close they are off the ice, it sounds like.
We want to send congrats to the former Oiler and Flame defenseman Ladislav Smid. He officially retired from the game. He last played the NHL back in 2015-16.
This guy was a caveman, eh, Whit?
Character. One of the best guys ever. He'd be screaming at people in intermission. If you didn't do your job offensively, if a forward was like, laddie, get the puck out to me, fuck you. And he'd be always screaming how his body was a temple. He was so classic. He said he'd come on the podcast, too, so we're going to get him dialed in here. And he's an electric person. So I loved playing with him. He was tough to play against, too. He was part of that Pronger trade. When Pronger went to the Ducks, he went over from the Ducks to Edmonton, played a while there, played for Calgary, was a real prick to play against, had some really good seasons, too. And then injuries messed him up. He had some big-time neck issues where I wonder now, I'd like to talk to him about it, if the disc replacement surgery would have helped him, because he had to get fusions, and it was really a struggle for him. So I felt bad watching him go through that, but he was a hard-nosed player that all the team loved having him around, because he was a loud Czech, would love his beers, and then be chirping guys nonstop.
Fuck, if you thought Beagle was bad, you should have seen what he would have done if he would have poked his goalie.
He was a monster, too,
he would have took his whole eye out.
Was he like 6'7"?
No, he was like 6'2", 6'3", but Jack, big kid, tough.
He could crush a few pops too.
Yeah, he played.
He hammered beers.
Last 5 years, he played in the Czech Republic, so he was still getting it done. So congrats, Ladislav, on the retirement. We got a few injuries to get to before we get to our buddy JR. Biz, it sounded like the Nate Dogg was going to be out with a suspected hand injury after his fight with Matt Dumba. Jared Bednar said the concern level was high. We saw that clip one of our listeners sent over, and his hand did bend back when he punched Dumba in the head there. But
Bednar knows what he's doing. He's selling the game. He's getting all the media popping off on a boring week with nothing to talk about. Everybody's concerned. You talk about the stars fighting and that whole debate, which we kind of went into last podcast, correct?
Yeah, we talked about it.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, it's not as serious as we thought. Despite him flicking off Aunt Marcia and maybe the karma that ensued because of it, I am so happy that it's not that serious and he's going to be around for the end of the season and playoffs. We need the league stars playing. Do you think that this changes his attitude moving forward if, in fact, he was injured on that punch? And do you think, or would you, as a coach, Whit, sit him down and say, listen, I love your fieriness. I love the edge that you bring. But we got other guys that can handle those situations in our lineup. Or do you not say bullshit?
I don't think it hurts to say, like, dude, we really need you in the playoffs. Just really be careful. But it's just so hard to get into the mind of somebody who, he snapped. He saw Rantanen get run over, and he kind of just snapped. He wanted to fight Dumba. And I think in other instances, you've seen him lose his mind a little bit. It's who he is. So if you could think about moving forward, and had he broken his hand and he was out, I mean, he would have been so gutted. I would have felt so bad for him. Maybe that would have changed things, but it's hard to really reel that in. I mean, like, when you're that angry, you're not even thinking like, oh my God, well, if I fight this guy and get hurt, like, that doesn't even go through your head in the heat of the moment. But no matter what Bednar says, he's not going to talk to him. That is who he is. He's like praying that if he does see him get into a fight, that nothing happens. So if you could ask him, he could be honest. I think he'd say, please don't ever do it again. But it's really hard to tell a player to take an aspect out of their game. That's what we said before.
Yeah, no, and I was comparing MacKinnon and McDavid on the TNT broadcast, because when McDavid was in junior, he had this kid. I forget what team the kid was playing for, but every time they would play against each other, he would follow him around the ice, and he was basically his shadow for every game. So finally, McDavid had gotten so fed up. And I know a different situation from sticking up for a teammate and then really sticking up for yourself. But he ended up dropping the gloves, and in the midst of the fight, he ended up missing the guy and punching the glass, and he broke his hand. So it became national news and a bit of one of these debates where it's like, is it worth it? So this was a scare. So I was just curious. Like, I think that if I was a head coach, if I was Bednar, I would say, buddy, I love that aspect, but moving forward, you can't be the guy, even if you're on the ice, to answer the bell. We have McDermott here. We have other guys who can handle those situations, because especially late in the season, man, you can't afford to lose your best player or second best player, maybe to Makar at this point, going into playoffs because you're trying to prove a point and sticking up for a teammate. Everybody's well aware that he wants to do it because he's proven that. So that's kind of where I'm going, where moving forward, just like I'm sure McDavid, although different personalities, seem to have learned from that lesson. I believe that's the last time he ended up dropping the gloves. I don't think McDavid's ever gotten in an NHL fight, correct? So I'm just saying is like, maybe this is MacKinnon's learning moment where it's like, fuck, you dodged a bullet in the biggest year, because we all know that I think that they're going to have to re-sign a couple guys and the cap's going to have to work out next year moving forward. This is their window is now. This year it's win or bust.
I think he's smart enough to realize, like, that's a scare. What they do, flying home by himself. I'm sure on that flight home, he was like, oh, fuck, I almost costed us this whole thing.
Yeah.
He'll think twice next time. Like you said, at the end of the season like this. But like you said, again, in the heat of the battle, something happens. It's hard to turn it off.
And I respect the shit out of him for it, and I love that team and how that's their mentality. We talk about how it goes from the top. Landeskog, fuck, he was scrapping in preseason, for crying out loud. You mentioned Kadri the week before. Now MacKinnon. You got McDermott. I love the boys club mentality. I'll always back that up. But I get a little bit weary when your stars are chucking knucks a couple weeks before the biggest playoff run of your life.
And Bednar said he won't tell Nate not to fight, even though he wishes he wouldn't. Because
we could have just saved ourselves 10 minutes.
Right, it was right there in your lap.
I know. I'm just fucking around.
No, I'm fucking around too. He said the game needs to be played with passion. So either way, moving right along. We had a real tough scene, Biz, Wednesday in Arizona. Clayton Keller, just an awful video. Crashed into the end boards, suffered a broken leg. He got surgery for it. He's going to be out 4 to 6 months. I mean, he gave the old, Ben Still a thumbs up coming off the ice. You always like to see that. But the video is awful, man. Just a tough scene. You hate to see any guy get hurt, but especially in that manner.
Yeah, when we watched it, first thing I said is like, oh my God, I think he broke his femur. And that's what ended up happening. Same type of break that actually Austin Matthews went through when he was 16 years old. So I believe Austin reached out,
and he lives at Matthews' house in Scottsdale.
Yeah. So he obviously, sent some positive vibes his way. And, you always get a little bit concerned when it's something this serious, especially, this young in a guy's career. But I know the dedication that Clayton Keller has to the game, and I have no qualms that he's going to make 100% full recovery. And for the Coyotes organization, I pray that he's able to get to where he was at playing wise this year, if not surpasses that, because he was on pace for a career year. I believe he hit it in goals. He had more points in his rookie year, but as I said, points per game, he was gonna crush that number. And a guy who really sets the tone in that locker room as far as work ethic, what he brings to the rink, and just a very, very likable guy who wants to get better every day. So
that scary video. So I was happy to see him give the thumbs up, but that's going to be a tough rehab. But let's hope he's able to come back and be the same player. He was lighting it up this year.
Yeah, 63 points in 66 games. A couple more notes before we go to the JR. Calgary lost forward Sean Monahan for the rest of the year. He's getting hip surgery, going to miss the rest of the season. 23 points in 65 games played. I'm guessing if he get hip surgery, that's probably a reason why he's been off a little. He recently was healthy scratch for the first time in his career.
And Tree Living had some pretty interesting quotes. He said, "There's a lot of bullshit out there," and he's taking look at this guy now. He's got a flame shirt on. This is Biz, guys. He just changed. He's got a sleeveless flame shirt on. The biggest phony fan out there. But Tree Living said, all the bullshit that's discussed about this guy, nobody has a clue what he's played through in the past few years, and specifically this season, to be this injured. And I think it was just something where I just want to be out there, I want to play, and at some point he couldn't do it anymore. But it's kind of a reminder that when somebody's really struggling, and now granted it's been a little while here since he was the same player as that 30-goal guy we saw for a little bit, but he was going through a lot of stuff that nobody had a clue what was happening. And health-wise, he's not the same person. Let's hope he can kind of bounce back after this.
Yeah, I actually feel terrible because I know that he got surgery in the off season, and I was like, oh man, it's not the same old Monty. And I made a comment at the trade deadline on Sportsnet being like, I hope they can light a fire underneath his ass in order to get going here, because if they can, that's just an added, extra guy pulling the chain offensively. But finding out that he never. I know it's the other hip, but he was not only playing through all the pain that from all the surgery in last offseason, but was also dealing now with the other hip, which usually happens with the overcompensation, right? The whole chain of events starts getting even more fucked up. So it was nice for Tree Living to kind of come out and give praise to Monahan about what he's battled through. And I feel bad that the guy was not only playing through pain, but also maybe dealing with some criticism on why his game wasn't where it had been in the past. So I hope he makes a full recovery as well, man. And, that's a very light guy in the locker room and a well-respected individual in the Calgary Flames organization.
No doubt about that. One other injury, Pittsburgh forward Jason Zucker was injured while playing his first game back from sports hernia surgery. I mean, just brutal set of circumstances for the guy.
That sucked.
Rehab
in Minnesota, too, where he played a lot of his career.
Yeah, that was the one when Fiala kind of gave him a little shove close to the boards, and he ended up getting hurt. Kind of a tough situation. I don't know if it was too hard of a hit, but it was enough to send him flying. And I don't know, we wish him well. Obviously, like we said, we hate to see any guys get hurt, but it's time to send it over to our pal, Jeremy Roenick. It's been a few years since we had him on, but first we want to let you know that this interview is brought to you by Earnest. If you want to pay off your student loans faster, listen up. With Earnest, you could change your interest rate, get a lower monthly payment, and you never pay fees, not even late fees. By refinancing, you can reduce your loan term, save money, or combine multiple loans into a simple monthly payment. And if you have questions, you can even talk to a real-life human at Earnest. When you pay less interest, you can put that money towards your goals. With Earnest, it takes 2 minutes to see what your new rate could be, and there's no credit impact. And right now, Earnest is offering our listeners a $100 cash bonus. Visit earnest.com/chiclets for more details. Not available in all states. Terms and conditions apply. Earnest Student Loan Refinancing made by Earnest Operations, LLC, NMLS number 1204917, California Finance and Law License number 6054788, 535 Mission Street, San Francisco, California, 94105. Visit earnest.com/licenses for a full list of licenses. And now, enjoy the return of Jeremy Roenick. All right, well, it's been a minute since we've had our next guest on. He was the 8th overall pick at the 1988 draft and played for 5 clubs over 20 NHL seasons, scoring over 500 goals and tallying over 1,200 points. And he's making his 3rd appearance with us today. It's the man, the myth, the legend. Welcome back to the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Mr. Styles, J.I., Jeremy Roenick. How are you doing, my man?
Hey, let's try this again, guys. Let's do it.
Has anything happened since we last spoke?
Yeah, I know. What's happened since we last had a great little chat?
Well,
I don't know about you guys, but I've had a phenomenal last 2 years, even through COVID. But it's been kind of crazy, huh? What a ride the last 2 years has been.
Is it because nobody's controlling what you're saying anymore?
Well, that actually, the only one that controls what I say now is my wife, and that's bad enough as it is. But life has been really interesting and really good. I've come across a lot of great people over the last couple of years that have been really, really supportive of me. And by the way, you guys have always been supportive of me, and I really appreciate that, Biz, especially you with the communication that we've had. It's been awesome. I think when stuff happens to you, you really see who your friends really are and who your supporters really are and where you kind of fit in the whole scheme of life and things. And I'm in a great place right now. I'm loving life. I'm busy as ever. I actually have a real job now. Like I'm actually in the job market, which is phenomenal. I never thought I would have a real job, but it's not like I have to go to an office or anything. But
do you have a LinkedIn? That's when we know you're legit. If you have a LinkedIn account,
I do have a LinkedIn,
wow.
And I get messages every day. These people have been looking at your LinkedIn, and I still don't know how to use it, but I have one.
So what's the gig?
So I work for a national construction company out of San Francisco, and it's kind of funny how I got it. So Doug Murray, who used to be my teammate in San Jose, who is a brilliant, smart guy in himself, who retired early for a lot of different reasons. He started working for this company after he retired from San Jose, got to be really good friends with the CEO. And then Doug Murray had a family and wanted to move back to Sweden to have his family grow up in Sweden and be raised in Sweden as kids. So they said, hey, why don't you call JR? He's got nothing to do now. He's a perfect guy for this job. He knows everybody. So this company called Skyline Construction called me up and came down to San Diego, brought all their team down and wine and dined me, played golf, and asked me to be like the head of sales and business development and kind of their entertainer for their company. So, and I took the job for one reason, because these guys, they are so great, and they felt like I was in the locker room again. We went through 18 bottles of Rombauer in like 3 hours. 18 bottles after we crushed a whole bunch of vodka sodas and tequila on the golf course. And I swear to God, I felt like I was in the locker room again with these guys. And I missed that, that kind of locker room camaraderie. And it's been great ever since. These guys have been great. I'm finding deals all over the country. I'm entertaining people. I'm taking people on golf trips, taking them to hockey games, taking them out to dinners.
Staying moving.
What a perfect job for you. I mean, that's actually like you can entertain anyone, and you take clients, I'm guessing, out golfing, and that's sick.
Yeah, my boss a couple weeks ago emailed me and said, your expense report is a little low this month. What's going on? You're not golfing enough. You're not taking people to dinners enough. I don't see enough lunches. I don't see, start spending some money on these clients. I'm like,
okay,
I love you.
They hiring?
Oh yeah.
You're like, you're gonna,
RA, you can't write off party favors.
RA, you have to be able to speak to them too. So.
Hey, listen. Hey, listen. Skyline, my company might be able to write off party favors. I haven't tried yet, but we'll see what happens.
Hey, so JR, I got to ask you, I just rented a place in Lauderdale by the sea for a few weeks, and a buddy of mine was down, and we drove by this place, Cafe Mortaranos, and he's like, dude, you got it. He goes, you got to go there. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, buddy, it's like nothing you've ever seen. They play old gangster movies on TV, music's pumping. So I was like, wow, but I never get over there. Sure as shit, about a week ago, JR's Instagram, you were in there. Can you explain what that place is all about?
The best restaurant on the planet.
It's a party, though.
It's so about, and I will say, when you do go, okay, Witz, when you do go, make sure you go about 8:30, 9 o'clock, because right around 10 o'clock, the lights kind of come down. The music really blares up. They play the best music mix, and especially us from Boston, okay, because we love our music. And it gets 70s to 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And he blares it, as loud as you can. You can't even talk to the person next to you, and the strobe lights are going, and it's the best party. And you're right, on the televisions they have all the mafia movies or the real iconic movies going, and then all of a sudden the music will stop, and it'll turn up the volume on the televisions, and it'll play that iconic movie. Just the other day they did Friday.
Oh, so it's not just mobster movies. It's just anything great.
It's iconic movies, right? So it's like, you want to get high? So we got nothing to do. We got no job. We got nothing to do. Let's get high. And it was like playing all over the restaurant, and people are going nuts. And the owner, his name is Steve Martirano. He's a Philly guy.
Philly legend, I heard.
Philly legend, and he's a chef legend. And he's been on all those cooking shows. He's been on morning shows all over the place. He does not look like a chef. Let me just tell you. He sits in the kitchen on his computer and he's the DJ, and he cooks and does the DJ all at the same time. And when I tell you it is the best time of all time, I'm not kidding. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. I know I talk a lot.
No, this is great.
Guys.
We wanted the night off.
So we went down there with Philly when I was playing for Philly, and my whole shtick when I was playing is I love to play disco music in the locker rooms and dance before the games. There was one song that I played all the time was Party Train, okay, by the Gap Band, and that was like my get ready to go song. So when we're down there, Cafe Martirano, the whole team was there, and we're all kind of meandering around the bar, hanging out. Now the music is blaring, people eating at the bar, and the trainer of my team goes to Steve, hey, put on the Party Train, Gap Band, and watch JR go. So on comes the Gap Band, and the place is packed, and the Gap Band comes on, and everybody looks at me. All of my teammates look at me and go, there you go, there's the bar.
Here we go, JR.
There's the bar. Yep. So I jump up on the bar. Everybody takes their plates and moves their plates off of the bar. And I start doing a dance down the bar, and I'm swinging it, going around, doing a dance. And there's a fan right in the middle of the restaurant. And I did this little twirl, like came up, and the fan hit me straight in the forehead, cracked me, cut me actually. And I was bleeding a little bit in the forehead, right? But you know me, the show's got to go on. And I finished my set. Everybody claps. It was great. I get down. I'm getting the blood off my head. And I got this big welt in the middle of my head. And I go to practice the next day. And my coach goes, what the hell happened to you? I said, I got hit by a fan. He goes, did you get his name, his number? I said, no. Fan, not a rah-rah fan, a fan. Hit me in the head.
JR, were you always that guy right from birth? Like, did your parents say, did you always like the floor even when you were a kid?
I always loved music, Biz. I always danced. I was always very musically inclined. Can't sing worth a lick, but I think I can. But always musically inclined, so yeah.
JR, the first time I met you, I might have said this on one of your other appearances with us on the show, but it was my official visit to BU, and the Coyotes were in town, and you were at Daisy's, and sure as shit, you had some disco going, and you danced for 2 hours straight. Like, I shook your hand quick, I got to meet you, but I was like, this guy hasn't stopped dancing since midnight. It was 3.
I love it. I do it more now because it's kind of my cardio. I got to keep the pounds off. So that's mostly what I do to work out.
I didn't mean just the dancing. I meant just like were you the class clown growing up? Like, were you always the guy to stir it up?
I really wasn't. I was actually kind of shy in high school, and kind of one of the guys who kind of stood back. It wasn't until I turned pro and started having some success and started really enjoying what I did, and really enjoyed being around the fans and kind of entertaining people and making people happy. That really kind of got me out of my shell for sure.
So golf-wise, JR, you're all over the map. You have a hell of a game, and you've been playing a ton. And we were fortunate enough to hear the story on Foreplay about you with President Trump. And for a lot of our listeners that haven't heard, you got to fill everyone in on that one.
That was a great story. By the way, I love watching your guys' matches. When
We're due.
We're due for one.
Who are you going to play with? Who are you going to play with? Have you picked a partner?
I got a couple. I got a couple real good partners that I have that tagged up. When we set the date,
Okay.
then I'll expose my partner because it's going to be a good one.
Where would you want to play if we're having it?
I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking Brett Hall. That's who I think.
Oh my goodness!
Oh baby.
That's we're going to have two mouthpieces at once on the golf course. So
we'll hire 4 extra cameramen and 2 extra sound guys.
Yeah. So my Trump story is pretty cool. We're playing at Trump Bedminster, and so we're having a great time. There's like 40 or 50 different carts behind us, following us and watching us and all that stuff. And we get to the 12th hole, and all of a sudden the big truck, I don't know what they call it, the bully or the whatever it's called, it flies up to the side of the tee, and all the Secret Service run to the tee box. And Mr. President, we have a breach. We have to get you out of here. They surround the president. Meanwhile, the other 3 of us, they push us off to the side.
You guys are target practice
we
for
got
someone.
A breach. We're like, holy fuck, we picked the wrong day to play the president. Like, what the fuck's going on? Right? We got an air breach, right? We're a fucking bomb to come down in the middle of Bedminster golf course, and like scared shit. And they're getting ready, and President Trump is looking up like, where? And getting ready to move off him. And this little Cessna comes over the hill and appears like kind of over us. Obviously, it's a beginner flyer, doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and they're like, it's right there. The Cessna's right there. It's pretty close. Within 5 or 6 seconds, no word of a lie, it was like, wow. These 2 F-16s.
No way.
Surround this little plane, wing to wing, and throw these red air flares and kind of move the plane, the Cessna, off into the distance, right? And everybody was like, looking and watching. It was kind of freaky. Tell you the truth, I almost shit myself, man. I'm like, this. I know how much they don't like Donald Trump, and the place you could take him out is on the golf course. And I just picked the wrong day, right? But I was really nervous. Then they got him up, and then the head of the Secret Service goes, "Okay, Mr. President, the threat has been taken care of. Enjoy your golf round," and they all take off, right? So we come back up to Donald, and he goes, and we're all kind of like, that was crazy. And I said, that was awesome. And he looks at me and goes, "Jeremy, now that's power." And I went, yeah, no shit. I would tell you what I said afterwards, but now I'll keep what I said to him kind of to myself.
What's the connection with I don't know if you know, but he's become pretty friendly and plays a lot of golf with Timu. Timu was there when he was talking to John Daly on the phone, and you set them up?
Yeah. So last I think it was last November. Well, whenever Donald's birthday is, he called. He had his golf guy call me and say, "We're going out to L.A. Meet us at Trump National, and we'll play." So get somebody. So I got Timu. So it was me and Timu were going to go play with Mr. Trump, with the president at Trump LA. Well, it was his birthday, and they were throwing a surprise birthday for him that he didn't know, so he couldn't come. So that one got squashed. So Donald was going back again a couple weeks ago, or a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and so I called Timu. I said, I can't play, but Timu, you got to go play with the president, because Timu is a huge fan of Donald Trump, huge fan. And so I set him up on the golf course, and it was kind of crazy because he played, had the greatest time, loved it. He thought it was one of the best rounds that he's ever played, the most fun rounds. And he's the one that took the video of Donald saying, on the tee box, the 45th president of the United States, and Donald turns around and goes, and the 47th, right? And he sent it to one of his friends, and one of his friends tweeted it out.
Oh, fuck. Donald couldn't have been happy.
Yeah, the rule with the president is no social media. What we do, keep it to yourself, so on and so forth. By the way, that's his handlers, I think, that say that. Donald loves the attention and loves that stuff, but
I'm shocked.
So I get a call, and they're like, "Buddy, your buddy Teemu's putting things all over the internet. I'm like, no, he wouldn't do that. So I called Teemu. I said, Teemu, what's going on? Your video is out on social media. And Teemu had heart failure. He's like, I didn't do that. I swear I didn't do that. Who did that? I'm going to find out who did that. He's not mad at me, is he? Oh, my God, I can't believe it. The president of the United States is mad at me. I can't believe it. What's his phone number? I got to call him. He was freaking the fuck out. But everything was fine. Everything happened. Everything was great. They had a great time. The president loves Teemu Selanne.
Who doesn't?
Selanne loves the yeah. Who doesn't like Teemu? That's for sure.
Speaking of golf, I think we have something in common. I don't think either of us are invited back to Whisper Rock. I went to golf with Ray Whitney, and I think I shot a 130. And he said, and after the round, I said I saw a bra in Phil Muckison's stall, and calling the bitch tits. And the next day at the rink, Wizards like, Biz, what are you doing, man? You're getting me in trouble. You're never invited back to Whisper Rock. Now, did you get a little bit of trouble there as well?
I did. I got. They asked me to take a 6-month leave of absence just to sit and rest my brain a little bit and think about some of the things I did. But listen, it's a men's club, right? And it's a men's club that you like to have fun. You can go out and do a lot of things. You can do whatever. And I was a little liberal with that. There's no question. I had an anger problem at one point, which probably stemmed over from my hockey days. But they asked me to take a leave of absence for 6 months, kind of take a little break, and I said, no, just write me a check. I'm moving to San Diego anyway. Yeah. And then the owner was like, no, we don't want you to leave, JR. We have to suspend you for, I think I broke a pane of glass on one of the carts and had a little altercation with a caddy who didn't know what he was fucking talking about.
Oh, I've had to calm Whit down a few times in the sandbaggers.
By the way, a little bitch stick caddy that I hit a bad shot, and I thought that he was looking at me, and I thought he was watching me, like, to toss the club back to him. Yeah. Right? Like, just to toss it back, like, fucking, I just tossed it, and it kind of hit him in the side of the head. And he goes to the pro and says, I threw a club at him.
Yeah,
like,
that's...
And by the way, I was always the biggest tipper at Whisper Rock. I tipped the caddies huge because I love the caddies. Like, just like I tipped the trainers and took care of the trainers, the people that take care of you always were like the number one in my life. I would never, ever disrespect to throw a club at a caddy or do something like that. But the fact that he kind of threw me under the bus like that pissed me right off. So one of the wussifications of pussy caddies is the guy that I had, which pissed me off. But I have a great relationship with the people at Whisper Rock, and I played there 4 times this year already, and everybody is really great to me and awesome. And I'm a little bit more subdued on the golf course now than I used to be. So maybe, tides are changing for me.
Yoga.
I met a buddy of yours last night.
Hold on real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick. But I did get a bad rap on my Whisper Rock stories that people tell, kind of like how I get them. And by the way, I just love it how everybody wants to talk about me and tell their own versions of stories about my life without asking me first, and whatever. I was with Jumbo Joe, Big Jumbo, about 2 weeks ago having dinner down in Florida, and he said, "You know what the biggest question that I got when I got here to Florida? What the number one question that all my teammates asked me is, what was it like being teammates with JR?" And I'm like, "You're kidding." It's like, no. Everybody wants to know what it was like being a teammate with JR. I'm like, what the fuck is the obsession with me? Like,
I'll tell you what is like. There's no guys in the league like that anymore who just kind of let it fly. And I think the league drastically misses different types of personalities. And I was actually going to ask you and segue you. Did you have a question beforehand?
Oh, it was just a quick one about. Sorry, we'll get back to this. But I met your buddy last night, Craig. He's buddies with Talkit, and he said I had to ask you. Did you catch a rattlesnake and then drive home with it in your car, holding it the whole time?
Yep. Yeah, so I have a couple. I had like 3 or 4 rattlesnake stories from Whisper.
He goes, he carried it while driving with one hand. He was holding it with the other hand the whole time.
Yeah. So the first one I had, I was playing a big money match, and I was on the 13th hole, and I'm down. I think I'm down like $2,500, and I have a double press going. It's a par 5, 10, 11, 12 par 5 going up the hill at the upper Whisper Rock. And I'm flailing, right? I'm just not in my zone, and I need to win this hole. And we're walking up the fairway, and I'm way behind because I'm I had to get something to eat or went to the bathroom. And there's this rattlesnake that was coming across the fairway. And I was playing against a couple guys, and I picked the rattlesnake up on the fairway, and I started running towards the guy I was playing. And he turned around and saw me, and he saw I had the snake in my hand. And the look of death came over his face. And if you ever would have seen a 275-pound guy do like the 50-yard dash in 3.2 seconds, and he's screaming like a bitch. Get away from me! And literally, I chased him up the fairway. He gets to his next shot, and he's literally, he's shaking. He can't even move. And I win the next 3 or 4 holes and end up catching up because I chased him with a snake. He was so flustered he couldn't even play with himself.
Send them the Venmo request.
and then the one I was actually walking out to my car, and the rattlesnake was in the parking lot. So again, I pick it up, and it wraps around my arm, and I have him right tucked in. And I only live like 2 miles from the course. And I said I wanted to scare my wife with it. So I drove home. So I'm holding the snake, and I'm driving home, and I go into my house with the snake, and my wife's making the bed. And I said, honey, I brought someone home. I brought a friend home for lunch. I hope you don't mind. And I put the snake right next to her. God. And if you ever seen someone jump and clamp her nails and feet into the ceiling, and I had to sleep in the guest room for 2 nights. She was so mad at me. My last story is like you guys know Whisper Rock. When you come out of the men's grill, there's a little walkway to the parking lot. Well, as I came out, there was a big bull snake, like a massive bull snake. Now they're not poisonous; they're just big. And I picked up the bull snake and I brought it into the men's grill. And Vinny Del Negro was having breakfast by himself. He was sitting at the table, and I went behind him and I let the snake come. I put it on his shoulder, and the snake crawled up right here while he was eating breakfast. And he jumped the whole table, the whole breakfast, flew over, and he ran into the men's locker room. And again, with a screech that you would never forget that came out of a grown man's mouth. And I thought he was going to have a total heart attack. But yeah, I like that.
Wow, that led into a few ones. I was going to ask you, who are the current day players, if you're following the NHL still, that excite you on and off the ice, maybe with their personality?
With their personality?
I don't know. I can't think of many either.
I got to think about that one. Yeah. I mean,
are you still watching a good amount of hockey?
I don't watch hockey very often. I bet on it all the time.
Yep.
So I more watch it on the ticker rather than watch it live. So I know who's scoring. I know when they're scoring. I know what's happening. I mean, I think the product is really good. I think it's their skating, the talent is unbelievable. I don't think it's as exciting anymore in terms of its, the physicality and the hitting. But I think that's what the National Hockey League wants. I think they want pure talent and less toughness. But I don't watch TNT. I don't watch ESPN. I don't watch the NHL League Pass. I don't. If I'm in a bar, I'll watch it, but I won't turn it on television and watch it. Kind of. I'll bet on it, but I won't watch it.
What kind of bets do you typically make? Just a money line, or what? What do you like to bet?
So I'm kind of a little bit all over the place. I like doing 2-team parlays because I don't have to pay the juice, which is nice. So my average bet is about a $200 2-team parlay. The over-unders right now have been really good because there's a lot of shit goaltenders and defense out there. There's been a lot of high scores. So overs have been good for me lately. But I do like the 2-team parlays, and then I'll take, perfect example, I'll take one team to win, right, at the money line, and then I'll do like a parlay where I'll take the opposite team with a +1.5 and play it with another game because I have a chance to win both ways, and if I lose one, I have a chance of just So I'll do that every once in a while. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I've been pretty hot lately.
I would imagine you probably have more gambling stories than snake stories.
I built one of the floors at Caesars. I don't know if you guys know that.
They still owe you some. They still owe you some money, huh?
Hey, listen. When you've retired and you've taken your limit, your line from 500,000 down to 50,000, and they still give you free rooms, you know that they still want you to come back.
Holy shit! What's the most you ever lost in one night?
About 125,000.
Oh, what about on the win side? Ever go on a crazy run?
I have a really cool story, and it involves my buddy that you just referenced that you met in Atlanta or wherever you met Craig.
Oh, yeah, he mentioned something about this. Sorry, there was another thing he mentioned to ask.
Yes, so we went to Vegas together, and we were having some fun. We were drinking. We were late night gambling, and I think I was like $85,000 in the hole in markers, and it was about 2 a.m, and I had one 500 chip left. I had a $500 chip. And Craig's like, hey, let's go to bed. Let's cut our losses. Let's try to get it back tomorrow. And I got pissed. I'm like, what the fuck? You want me to go to bed right now with a $500 chip? What the fuck is that good to me? I got a chip. Let me play the chip.
Might as well lose this thing.
I'm pissed. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So I play the 500 down and I win. So I leave it. So now I have 1,000 and I win again. I leave it. So now I have 2,000 and I win again. All of a sudden now I have $4,000 in front of me. So I take 2 back, leave 2, win, leave it. Now I have 4, win, go to 8, leave it, go to 16. So now I have $18,000 in me, right? So now I'm rolling and I'm playing and I'm winning. It's about 4:30 and I have about 40,000 in front of me. And Craig comes back to the table and goes, hey, JR, let's go to bed, man. It's time to go to bed. I'm tired. We got golf. Literally, we're teeing off at 7:30. It's 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I'm like, Craig, I'm on a roll, man. I'm at 45. I got another 40 and I get my marker back. And Craig throws 4 pieces of paper in front of me. And I'm like, what's that? He goes, those are your markers. I'm like, what do you mean those are my markers? Because when you go to the cage and pay off the markers, they give you the paper and you rip them up. He throws 4 of those in front of me. I'm like, what are those? He goes, those are your markers. He goes, the whole time you've been playing for the last 3 hours, I've been reaching under.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So while I was playing, because I was so hammered and I was just playing, he's grabbing chips.
Thousands and thousands, saving them.
Thousands. Yeah, because he knows that I would that what I would just go crazy to try to get it back. So he kept going, and he kept going to the cage and paying off my markers. He paid off all 85,000 of them, and he goes, "Let's go." And I had 45 in front of me from a $500 chip, and I'm like, I give him a big hug. I'm like, it was the greatest feeling of all time. It was awesome. That's a friend for you, by the way. That's a friend.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Did you get any futures at all, JR, for like the cup or anything? Did you do any of those?
I did. I actually did a future with Carolina.
What'd you get him
at the beginning of the year?
What odds?
It wasn't awesome. I think it was probably somewhere around 4 plus 450, 550, something like that.
Is this
right around in there?
Is this the most wide open you've ever seen it? Like it feels like any number of 12 teams could win the cup this year.
I think opposite.
Really?
I think there's only a few teams that can win it. I think Florida is so good. Then with the addition of Drew, and you guys know when you're in a locker room and you see a guy like Drew get traded, and your GM goes out and gets you a player like Drew, what kind of excitement that you get? Like, it's time to go for it, boys. I mean, they already have probably the deepest team in the National Hockey League and most talented. I like them. I think Carolina in the East those are my 2 top in the East, Carolina and Florida. I mean, that's not going out on a whim or nothing. And on the West side, obviously you got the Colorado, which is extremely strong. And I would never count out Nashville for some reason. They're playing good hockey. They could be my dark horse. I don't see anybody really in the West beating Carolina or Florida. I don't see it. I was talking with one of my buddies the other day that likes Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh kind of needs to have a run. They just picked up Rickard Rakell, which I think is a great pickup. Sydney and Malkin know this is one of their last runs. Maybe they've been playing great hockey. They might make a run. Rangers look good, but after that, I don't really see many other teams having big chances to win. Tell you the truth.
You mentioned you went to dinner with Jumbo Joe. How the fuck is he still going at his age? And do you think that if maybe it doesn't get done this year, he might even keep going?
Well, I asked him if this is his last year, and he did not say. He always says, "I like being with the boys, JR. You know me. It's all for the boys. Love the boys. Got to be with the boys." And if he can skate and if he can still pass the puck the way he can, he'll. I know he's slowing down. I know he's sore. His knees are giving way. But he could still do a lot of great things for a team. He mentioned maybe playing a year in Europe, back where his wife is from and where he met his wife, and he owns a team back there. But I would not put it past Joe to play another year. He loves the game so much. I
think, was it Aki Berg we were talking about? He went back to either Finland or is that where he's from? And he became a trainer because of that same situation. He could not be around the boys. So maybe Jumbo Joe will be a massage therapist on one of these NHL teams once he fucking retires.
I would not put it by Jumbo to be a massage therapist. He would do it. If it meant winning a cup, he'd stay in the National Hockey League for another 10 years.
I think he's gotten enough of them to know what he's doing too.
Well, I think this is the best chance that he's had since probably our team in 2008, 2009, which shit the bed in the first round, but we were the best team in the league at the time. But I want him to have a Stanley Cup so bad. There's so much I would do to allow him to win one. It's crazy.
I have this funny webpage up. It's like 18 memorable JR quotes. So, like you said, maybe some of them aren't even legit, but one of them mentions, I've played with a lot of crazy guys in the past. Wayne Van Dorp, when I played with him in Chicago, wasn't a big name, but my God, he was nuts. Is that true?
He's one of the nicest guys in the whole world, okay? A guy you would love to have on your team. And I've said this about Wayne before, and I've apologized to him before, but he knows that I love him, so he knows that I can say this to him. But without a doubt, when we played, he was one of the toughest guys that had absolutely nothing upstairs, right? And he's like this. He'd come up to me and goes, "JR, how you doing today? What's going on? We're going to win this hockey game tonight, boys. Let's go." I'm like, "Wayne, are you okay in there? Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm good. Why? And it's just like, it almost sounded like he always talked like he was high all the time. But when he got on the ice, he could play and he could fight and he protected like nobody else that I played with, maybe besides Stu Grimson. But he bought a van literally on the road when we were driving to the airport. We'd drive past this dirty old 1965 van that was falling apart. It said "for sale" with a phone number on it, and he called it when we're on the road, and literally bought the van before we got to the airport. And then he fixed it all up, put all these panels in it, put a little bed in it, and he lived in it for like 3 months. Not all there, but great guy.
Jay, have you golfed with MJ at all in the last few years? I know you had that epic story from way back in the day.
Yeah, I haven't. No, I haven't. I haven't played with him in quite some time, but I'm spending a lot more time down in Florida now, so I'm hoping that changes.
Yeah, I can't remember did you tell a story on the show before? Okay,
yeah,
I wasn't sure.
He kicked my ass last year, JR. He dummied me one day at the Grove. Yeah,
dude, you're better. You're a better player than that.
I played like shit. I was actually, I can say, I was legit nervous, and then the first 18 ended, and I played a little better, but in the second 18, but he played nice that day. Like he shot probably 78, 74 the second round.
Yeah,
he was getting up and down from anywhere. I'd never seen a short game like that.
Well, look how he's got great mitts.
Yeah.
He don't score like he did and have the jump shot and the finger roll and the fadeaway like he had, not be able to chip and putt.
True.
He's one of the most fun guys to play with that I've ever played with, because he loves to gamble, he loves to have fun, he loves to smoke cigars and listen to music, And he's just a blast, man. I fucking love Michael Jordan.
He's got the guy in the chorus with a duffel bag full of money, a Louis Vuitton.
He had a big case in the back of his cart that day, but he
gets rattled if you talk about the gambling and the rounds a little bit. No,
yeah, it was kind of like I kind of knew not to be like telling all about it. He shriveled me on the back on the second 18 on the 17th hole, is par 5 at the Grove. We had a ton of presses going, and I was down from the first 18. Like basically 17, 18 was going to make or break my day. I hit it on in 2. I had like 30 feet for eagle. He's dead. He's like long right, short-sided, completely fucked in 2. And he hits this unreal, like Luke Donald flop shot to like 4 feet, and I roll my eagle putt to 3 feet. He cans the 4-footer. Of course, I missed the 3-footer, and he goes, "That's right, bitch."
That's Michael. He'll never. But you know what a baller is. You know what a baller is. A baller is when you get kicked, when you're asked to leave a club because you have too many players playing with you. You play with loud music. You leave too many cigar butts all around, and you disrupt the golf course. And they ask you if you can leave. So what do? You go build your own and bring your own people in.
Where did they ask him to leave?
The Bears Club. He was at the Bears Club for a long time in Jupiter.
Yeah, and the first time I saw him on the golf course, I saw 7 carts like ripping down the first hole at Medalist. I was like, "What's that?" And they're like, "That's MJ. He plays 6 guys. He has Nassau's with every single guy. Everyone takes their own cart, and they just bomb around 36 holes."
Him and Trump couldn't play together. There wouldn't be enough carts on the course.
I'm sure they played together. A lot.
Outside,
he is the best.
Yeah, he is.
I love Michael.
Outside of those 2 guys, who are some other famous people you've been able to share around with?
Man. You know who's a lot of fun to play with? Are you guys Entourage fans?
Yes.
So Kevin Dillon is. I don't know if you ever play. If you have a chance to play with Kevin Dillon.
Johnny Drama.
Nick Cousins?
Johnny Drama.
Nick Cousins.
The best. He's one of the best guys, one of the funniest guys to play with on the golf course. You got to play with him. And obviously I played with Charles Barkley just a shit ton of times, who's actually playing.
Yeah, his
a lot
game's better
these
now.
days.
His swing doesn't have like the hiccup in it.
Yeah, he's starting to come back. I played with him in the 90s, and he shot like 75, 76. And then he hit somebody in the head at Tahoe. Right. And if you guys haven't met Charles Barkley, he's without question one of the most compassionate and fan loving and approachable, nice athletes that there are, that really cares about his fans and people. And when he hit this lady in the head, it kind of traumatized him, and it always, whenever there's people around, he always has that mental block. And that's kind of what created that bad swing, is because he hit somebody. I mean, that tells you a lot about the kind of person that Charles Barkley is, I'm telling you.
Jay, where'd you learn how the snake handling? Like picking up rattlesnakes, that's some dangerous business. Did someone teach you it, or did you learn it somewhere? Like, that's dangerous shit.
It is dangerous shit. But, no.
He also punched an alligator at
Bay Hill. That was a funny story, that one, too. That's when I first met Arnold Palmer, first time I ever met Arnold Palmer, which was really cool. No, but the snake stuff, listen, they don't have any arms or legs, right? Which is a benefit. And just stay behind them. Use a club. You just don't go up to them and grab them with a hand.
Right.
Use your club. Make sure that they can't get to you. Push their head down, pick them up. And, we have the upper hand on them a little bit, if you think about it, with all the tools that we have. Snake can't pick up something and control us. So that's the way I look at it. It might be a stupid way to look at it, but I don't know. That's a little. But I told you when I jumped on the alligator that one day at Bay Hill, and I had its tail, and I got to the clubhouse afterwards, and all the boys were having a couple pops and talking about the round, and Arnold Palmer walks in, stands right at the table sitting at, and he looks at me and, "Hey, hockey boy, will you leave my alligators alone out there? They're scared fucking shit." And I was like, "Yes, Mr. Arnold Palmer. I'm so sorry, Mr. Palmer. I'll never do it again." He's like, "I'm just teasing you, you crazy bastard." And I was like, that was like the coolest 5-second exchange I ever had in my entire life. Arnold Palmer called me hockey boy.
Hey, didn't your son come out with a country album or an album of some sort?
No, he came out with a pop album.
A pop album.
Yeah. So Yeah, so if you go on Spotify and you do B Row, I think he's on Spotify, he's on iTunes, he's on a lot of stuff. It's B Row. He did 2 albums and did it all himself. Wrote it, sang it, produced it, everything. And I'm telling you, the kid's got some talent. He can write, he can clash with his rhymes, with his beats. So I'll send you some of his stuff, but he is sick. He's sick.
Does he do live performances?
He only did a live performance at his friend's birthday party. He did his album. I think he's got like 7-8 songs on his second album that he did.
Should get him a Chiclets cup.
He's talented, man. I'm telling you. He did it during COVID. So when we couldn't go outside, we were stuck in our house. Every time I come downstairs in the kitchen, he's sitting there with his hoodie over on his computer, and I think he's doing schoolwork, but he was actually writing song lyrics. And you'd be really impressed listening to some of his songs. He's really, really talented.
So, Jay, you got any shows or podcasts or anything you've been doing on the side you want to plug while we have you here?
Yeah, so I've been doing After the Whistle with my boy Craig Rivet and Andrew Peters. We do that once a week. We have a blast. We have a great time, and I like kind of conversing back and forth with some of the listeners on Twitter and kind of bantering back and forth with their opinions. And I literally, guys, I've stayed away from the National Hockey League. I've stayed away from talking National Hockey League in a lot of different ways. I think the taste in my mouth is not good for over the last couple of years. A lot of people talking to me about the Hall of Fame. I'm sick and tired of asking why I'm not in the Hall of Fame. I'm sick and tired of people asking why I don't work here or why I'm not here, or, why aren't they bringing you back? To tell you the truth, I'm happy, man. I don't know if I would go back, to tell you the truth.
Are you comfortable talking about that whole situation? Like, I reached out to you afterward, and I don't even remember it, like hearing it, because I was trying to focus on the next question. And then, I think we made a quick crack and moved on. And I guess my overall thought on it afterward was, Catherine Tappan had been on vacation with you guys. I assume that you would have been comfortable making that joke in her presence. And then afterward, it just kind of all blew up and put you between a rock and a hard place. And you were like, fuck you, I don't want to apologize. I said what I said.
Listen, it's the story. The story is the story, right? And what bothers me the most, though, is people made judgments without knowing the facts, right? Without hearing what we talked about on that podcast, right? Kind of like how it was told, the way it was told, why it was told, and the situation that it was told in. I told it on Spittin Chiclets, man. It's a racy, fun, whatever podcast. And I think I got caught in a tough time in our country where, the Me Too and the wokeism and politics really were I thought at the time were at its peak. And what just bothers me the most, because I'm not going to get into all the logistics of what it does. What bothered me is some of the people that I knew could have protected me from the lashing and from the cancellation didn't protect me. They bailed on me, right? Like, you look on their Twitter feeds and it says friends and family first. And then they're the ones that bail on you and don't do anything to kind of protect you. They actually kind of throw you under the bus. So, and again, that's what I said to you guys earlier. You learn who your friends are. You learn who your supporters are. You learn who you can always rely on and who will always be your friends. Now, again, do I regret telling that story? I don't think I regret telling that story, because if the people would have heard what everybody in the situation said, what I said was minor. So again, I think we all got to we all have to remember we're in a different period of time. We have to watch some of the things that we say, how we say it. We got to be very, very careful of people's feelings nowadays, because obviously words can hurt now. sticks and stones can break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, that doesn't play anymore. So, I've learned a lot. I still let my mouth go. Don't get me wrong. And I'll say what I feel, but I know where I can go and where I can't go. And I'm in a good place. There's no question. It does bother me though. It does bother me a little bit that the National Hockey League has kind of just kind of pushed me aside and really made it that I wasn't relevant in the first place. When, to tell you the truth, I did a fuck ton for the National Hockey League, not only in the 20 years that I played, but for the 10 years that I was out on television. And for them to have the fear to not involve me in anything because of something like that, to me is pretty lame.
I guess the one question I had leaving it was like how is the relationship with Catherine now? Do you I know how close she was to your family and enough to where you guys go on European vacations.
There's no relationship in anything of that nature on that whole aspect of anything, and I won't talk about the network. I won't talk about the people. I won't talk about the relationships. I've moved on, and I've moved on to great things. And literally, I never thought that I could be in such a good place and loving what I do. I have a whiskey coming out next month that I'm so excited about that I can't even see straight. And I'm involved in a couple other things. A job that I have keeps me traveling again because that's what I love to do. I'm in Chicago. I'm in Florida. I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm in San Francisco. I'm all over the place. I'm going to the Masters next week. I'm taking some clients to the Masters. First time I've ever been to the Masters.
Oh, JR.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're going to be, you won't believe it. You won't believe it.
Really? I can't wait.
Wait till you see, just do me a favor, go to 10T. And when you see how downhill that hole is, I know this is golf.
I played the course. I played the course. No, I played the course. I just
on that, Whit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a peasant for that.
No, you're not a peasant. No, I should have clarified that. I've played the course, but I've never been to the Masters, right? I've never been there to watch the tournament. So I'm really excited to bring some of our clients for the week. We got 5 houses there, and I'm gonna bring I think 5 of my clients here to the tournament, and we're just gonna have a great time. So to answer your question, Biz, listen, things happen for a reason in life, and I was told by a friend of mine, it's not what happens to you, it's what happens for you, and I just take everything that happens, and I look at the bright side and I move on. The National Hockey League's actually really just disappointed me, to tell you the truth. Yeah. And whether that'll change in the future or not, I don't know. But the good thing is I don't need the National Hockey League to have a great life and to have a happy life and a good one.
Well, I don't know how these guys feel about it, but I just it sucked that it happened on our podcast, and that's how I felt about it, because I know that I'm sure at the time those relationships meant a lot to you, and it just sucked how it all went down. And I mean, if there's any way that I could have prevented it, I guess look in hindsight, I wish I could have. But like you said, things happen for a reason, buddy. And I guess for myself, I apologize, and I'm sure that you had to go through some hurt because of it.
Yeah, but you don't. Listen. I don't think, and I said this to you, and Wits. I'm sure I might have said it to you as well. But I never looked at Spittin Chiclets or Barstool at any point and said, fuck you guys. It's your fault. No, you guys have one of the top shows in all of the world in terms of podcasts, and there's a lot of people. Listen, you've said some fucked up things on this show, Biz.
Oh, yeah.
You can get away with a lot more than obviously I could get away with. I got caught in a situation.
Not anymore, JR. Not anymore.
There were some people that just didn't like me and were out for me, and they got me, and so be it. That's not Spittin Chiclets' fault. It made me learn really quick, again, what you can say, what you can't say, what you got to be careful of, so on and so forth. Hey, listen, I'll still tell somebody to fuck right the fuck off if I think they're wrong, right? Or if they're challenging me, or if they're after me. But I'm also very, very, very respectful and know who I can say it to, when I can say it, and not to offend people in certain aspects. But listen, you still got to tell the truth. But Spittin Chiclets, I've never thought that you guys were the reason for it. I said it, and I said it with, told the story. That was my choice. And, would I change it if I went back? I don't know if I would, guys. I really don't know if I would change much. I really don't.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on for the third time. I've known you for a long time, and I'm really happy to hear how well things are going for you now. So we appreciate it, and it's great to hear that. With moving on from the NHL a little bit, you're still happier than ever, because in the end, like once the game ends, it's about finding something else. So good for you, JR.
It really is. And I watch you guys all the time, and I'm big fans, obviously, but I'm really looking forward to getting your asses out in the golf.
I was just going to say, legendary.
What's the whiskey called? Did you say the name?
Yeah.
It's Whiskey Wild. It's a chocolate whiskey. So we have a chocolate whiskey and a chocolate citrus whiskey coming out. And I would love to do like a little Spittin Chiclets launch party with you guys at some point in the country somewhere.
We'll bring it on the Sandbagger too, so everybody could see it on YouTube as well. I won't have any shots though, because I need all the help I can get on the golf course. I don't know if you see my backswing, unless it can loosen me up.
By the way, you're going to have shots because the shots make my ball go straighter. So that's good. So yours goes sideways, mine goes straighter.
All right, deal.
All right, JR. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
JR.
Leave
right,
those
guys.
gators alone.
I will.
boy.
Good luck, guys. Keep it rocking.
Huge thanks to JR for jumping back on with us, man. Awesome time talking to him again. Things went a little sideways there a couple years ago, but we're glad we still got a relationship with him, and things have worked out for the best. So,
the snake whisperer.
Oh yeah, Jesus Christ, man, he's fucking bananas doing that shit. Fucking gotta be careful, boys. His interview was also brought to you by TaylorMade. Are you ready for the ultimate giveaway? We're teaming up with our friends at TaylorMade for the ultimate season opener sweepstakes and giving away 50 prizes to 50 different winners. Prizes include everything from a grand prize full bag of new TaylorMade clubs to a new stealth driver to TP5X golf balls and everything in between. Now through May 10th, go to TaylorMadeGolf.com/barstoolsweeps to enter and celebrate the season's first major and the unofficial start to the golf season. The Sweeps is running across a number of podcasts within the Barstool Network, and we want our loyal followers to win. So head over to TaylorMadeGolf.com/BarstoolSweeps right now for your chance to win, and be sure to let them know you heard it from us here on Spittin Chiclets. Make this golf season better and fill your bag with the best. Of course, that's TaylorMade. Go to TaylorMadeGolf.com/BarstoolSweeps right now for your chance to win big.
The stealth carbon wood.
That's what she said. Boys, the GM meetings were last week. Some interesting
The
news.
GM meetings crack me up quickly. Like, they go down there and they have a couple big things they got to talk about, and Bettman says something and George Powell says something. But let's be honest. The deadline's already happened. They get wrecked. They probably get crushed. They golf both days. Great GM's meeting, honey.
They could do it over Zoom in like an hour. Instead they go to
we're going to go to
Boca
Florida
Raton.
and get crippled for 2 nights.
Okay, first off, the long-term injured reserve loophole, as they call it, it's not going anywhere, which we suspected last week. Half the league currently has at least one guy on LTIR, so it's no surprise it's not going to go anywhere. Bettman also pointed out there were no issues for the last 17 years. The league doesn't view it as a major problem affecting the league, so it's not going anywhere. Bill Daly said, we look into it. We deal with the clubs. We get the medical records. We employ an independent medical expert, and we make sure of the bona fides of the injury. We've never had issues that stem from that. It's a thorough process. So, no changes going forward there. But a big change is coming, and everybody's happy about it, Biz. The World Cup of Hockey will be back February of 2024, it looks like. No more Europe or North American teams. It's going to be country versus country. Russia's going to be to be determined, given their fucking idiocy lately. The country, not the players, obviously. The tourney doesn't need bells and whistles. I think country versus country is the way to go. Murls, let's get your take on it, buddy. Haven't gone to you for a bit.
Yeah, I just wish it was coming sooner. I don't want to have to wait that long. I love the international competition when you can get all the best players. The World Championships never is good because the real good players are still in the playoffs in the NHL, so you never get to see it. This is great. I just wish it was sooner. I'm real excited.
You want me to? No, great breakdown, Merle's fucking it.
I don't know. Is that good? Are you messing with me, or
you think there's any chance you could be playing for Team Sweden?
Jeez. I mean, I am a point a game. I am a
hockey team.
I am a point a game guy in Division 1 or Division 2.
I love this move, and I think that I'm kind of over the Olympics. I think that they need to figure out a way to just make this an unbelievable event for hockey, and this is kind of like the marquee where you get all the top end guys against top end guys. I know there's constant chatter about growing the game across the world, but we need to grow it in the United States more. And I mean, Canada's obviously taken care of, and everybody from Europe will be watching, even if it's in North America. And hey, maybe the next one, you move it over to Sweden or you move it over to Finland, and you go maybe back and forth like they do with the Ryder Cup. I think they need to focus on growing their own type of Olympics where the players get to play on that national stage. And I know you saw Martian's comments about wanting to go to the Olympics because it's so special, and the opening ceremonies and what they get to experience. I don't know, man. You see all the other side of the stories about the shit, the food they got to eat and the travel and the hoops they got to jump through. And I know that was going through a COVID situation, but if they focus on making this experience better than any hockey experience we've ever seen, you don't need to fucking go to the Olympics anymore. And now players are going to be not paying as much escrow because you're growing the game over here and you're growing up that kitty and keeping it all in-house. Am I wrong here?
Just like in soccer. Yeah, it's just how they do it in soccer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't go to the Olympics in soccer. It's all about the World Cup every 4 years, and it's the biggest thing for everybody. The cities are shut down. Countries are shut down when their teams are playing. Doesn't matter which time. In Sweden, they'll give them the time off from work if they're playing an afternoon game. And let's just make hockey that big. That's what should happen in Canada. If Canada has an afternoon game, whole country shut down and watch it. It would be great.
I love it. I love it. And just like 96, Biz, I said you could have games in Europe and North America and then finish off the final in North America if that's what you want to do. There's big arenas, big gates over there. Maybe they all want it centralized, but if they do it in North America 1 year, I love that. Next year, do it in Europe, but every 4 years, maybe 3. I don't know how they want to do it, but we need best on best. And I really do like your idea, Biz. Forget about the Olympics. We got our season going on anyways. Then the owners aren't pissed off if somebody gets injured. Well, they could get pissed off if you get injured in the World Cup, but you know what I mean. It's great to finally think about the best in the world and Matthews and Kane playing against McDavid and Crosby, and so I cannot wait. And like Merle said, I wish it was coming a little sooner.
So I guess the only question is how do they determine which teams are in, and would there be qualifiers then for the World Cup for countries who maybe let's say not saying this is the case, but let's say Czech is a team that just they perform brutally there. Do they relegate them at a certain point? Is Germany in?
Play-in tournament. Have a play-in tournament.
Right, but obviously Canada and the United States are getting in every time. That's not even, do they have to play in the play-in tournament?
No, just have the teams that are the bottom of the barrel teams. Like you said, the teams that are probably the last two place teams in each division of the World Cup, make them play in the play-in
So
tournament.
you almost got to have Russia in it, though, because it sucks if Russia's not in it. So let's say Russia, Canada, U.S., Finland, Sweden, Slovakia, Czech Republic. That's 7.
Germany,
Switzerland,
Swiss. Who would be the 10th team?
You got Norway is decent.
China, Yipper, captain.
You got Belarus. You have Austria.
Denmark kind of just arrived on the world stage not too long
Italy,
ago, for the most part.
Some other ones.
So you're doing
those
Trinidad
teams
and Tobago are nasty, and Ducks too.
Did they say how many teams would be in it?
No, they haven't hammered out all the logistics yet. We still got a ways to go. But
okay.
There might be a small sort of qualifying thing like they do in the Olympics. But either way, we're just fucking psyched to get it back, man. 96, that was all-time epic stuff. Still think about it, being down the tavern in the water watching the finals. I think it was in September it took place, and awesome stuff. So we're glad to get it back. A few other notes from the GM meetings. I mentioned in the last episode the cap's going to be going up by $1 million next year. Bettman also said that the players' debt owed to the owners, which is how much, Biz? $1 billion is expected to be repaid by the 24-25 season.
Shocker.
Then the cap should get a nice jump after that, so teams can pay these guys a little bit more dough. Also, the NHL warned GMs to be careful regarding public comments about officials. They're kind of fed up with what's gone on this year, and they also want to back their officials, even if it's been a tough year for them. And they'll reconvene after the draft in July once again. So that's what's going on with the GMs. Anything else you want to add there, Whit? I don't know if you're
Well, no, but Cap reminded me of the Caps. Biz has been on them saying they're not a contender. I've kind of agreed with them. And my preseason cup pick, the Islanders. Is it crazy to think 11 points back of the Capitals with a game in hand? Could the Islanders sneak in if the Caps lose 3 in a row and the Islanders keep winning? Or you never know here. The Capitals have 13 games left. They're playing like trash. The Islanders have 14. If the Islanders can go 11-3 and the Capitals really, really fall apart, we might see an absolute shocker.
Wow.
I wouldn't be that surprised. I'm just saying it.
If the Islanders get in,
Listen, the Caps have the Caps have Toronto coming up, Vegas coming up, the Bruins coming up. I pulled up their schedule. It's not that crazy. I'm just saying.
I'll get an Islanders tattoo on my ass if they end up pulling that one off.
Oh wow,
the Islanders are hot. The Islanders are hot.
So the Caps just got worked by many. They got Tampa, Pittsburgh, Boston, Philly, Toronto, Colorado, Vegas.
Wow. Maybe I won't get a tattoo on my ass.
Something out here.
That is, hey.
They got 2 games against the Islanders and Capitals. There's 2 games right at the very end, too.
Yeah. I was getting scolded online for my comments about the Caps. If they end up missing the playoffs, I am going to make their fans who were tweeting me eat shit.
And then whoever plays the Islanders is going to shit their pants a little.
Oh, yeah. That would scare me.
Would be a great story, but... All right, moving right along here. Sad news from Ottawa last week. The owner of the Senators, Eugene Melnick, died at just 62 years old from an unspecified illness. Obviously, we want to send our condolences to his family, friends, fans of the team. Sad news. 62 is too young to pass away.
And he saved the Senators.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be there if it wasn't for him. And I know it was a really tough ending for him as an owner and how things went about, but awful news to see him pass away battling that illness. But you do have to remember there would be no team without him.
He owned them since 2003. He bought it for just $92 million. I've gone up in value tremendously since then. So again, we want to extend our sympathies to his family and friends. It's sad loss for the community. Also, speaking of the Sens, they refuted a story that come out there that said they were supposed to play 5 games in Quebec City next season. The team president, Anthony LeBlanc, said the suggestion that the Sens will play in Quebec next season was, quote, very disingenuous. It seemed like it come out of I guess they're talking about maybe having the World Juniors shared between Ottawa and Toronto in a few years, and somehow that upset between Ottawa and Quebec, somehow that got brought up as playing games there, and they're like, no, that's nothing happening like that.
That sounds like a rumor that we would start.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. The 3 Hobey Baker finalists were announced on Thursday.
We're the fucking rumor guys around. Who's starting rumors?
I actually think we did. I think we did post that. I'm pretty sure we did post that one.
About jealous people. Denver forward Bobby Brink, Minnesota State goalie Dryden McKay, and Minnesota forward Ben Myers, the 3 Hobey Baker finalists. Brink was the only one drafted. He was taken in the second round of the 19 draft by the Flyers, so safe to assume the other 2 will probably get a little interest from NHL teams.
Yeah, they already signed with New York.
And Whit, your alma mater, they're going to be looking for a new coach next season, as Albie O'Connell won't be back after coaching the Terriers for the last 4 seasons. They went 58, 49, and 16 during his tenure with 1 double NCAA appearance. After 40 years of Jack Parker, that ended in 2013, the team's going to have its 3rd coach in just 9 years. Anything you want to share with us, Whit Dog?
Yeah, I mean, Albie's a great guy. It's kind of been a little bit of a struggle. They also dealt with COVID and kind of messing with 2 different seasons. David Quinn was a great coach there, brought him to the NCAA title game. I think he still probably wants to try to coach in the NHL. Jay Pandolfo left the Bruins to become the assistant this year. I would really hope he gets the job. An amazing guy, a pro, an unreal college player at BU himself. So let's hope he ends up getting it. I don't really know what else has been discussed. I think everyone's hoping if Quinny doesn't want it or doesn't want to do it again, that Pando would want to take over, because that's a lot of time away from the family if he does take it. But, we're looking to get BU back on that national, have some national prominence. I don't know if that makes any sense, but the difference now, college hockey, you see all these teams. When I was playing college, granted, this was 20 years ago, the teams that were really bad, they're now some of the best. And a lot of that has to do with some of these schools, they get really old players. They get 24, 25-year-old players. BU's always been a younger school, getting some of the top prospects. So we just got to get back winning. But thank you to Albie, because he's a hell of a guy. And And he did the best he could because it's been a couple tough years with what's been going on off the ice.
Hell of a recruiter, too, Whit. I mean, he brought in Joel Farabee and Trevor Zegras, Drew Comesso. Like, he's got a bunch of guys on his list there.
Let's see. All right. Eve, I'm sorry if I pronounced it Eve last time. I think it might be Eve Gascon, the woman goalie up in Quebec. She got her second start for the Gatineau Olympics, and she got her first win in the Q. Biz stopped 23 of 26 shots. First win by a female goalie in the Q in 22 years. It was a pretty cool video we put out in the Chiclets feed. Teammates gave her the old water bottle shower when she got back to the room, and no better way to get accepted by a team than getting a W. So
that's like the new Selly now. You go in the locker room and you get the water bottle treatment.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they're not going to throw beers all over each other in a regular season game or whatever level, right? I mean, because the NHL does the water bottle shit too.
Yeah. Sometimes they do ignore the person and act like nothing happened, and then bah! But yeah, no, congratulations to her. I mean, what was it? A couple weeks ago, she got her first start.
Yeah,
and then now she got her first win. That's
first
awesome.
W, yeah.
Who knows, man? She could be the one where she ends up making an NHL roster.
Yeah,
I mean, it's highly likely that if a woman plays in the National Hockey League for an extended period of time, it's going to be at the goaltending position. So let's see. She's on the radar, folks.
Sounds like something I said. Easy, buddy. Just got to be serious for a sec here. Us guys at Spittin Chiclets, we want to send along our deepest condolences, support, and our love to the Boston Hockey Academy on the loss of their beloved teammate, friend, and brother, Maxim Madison, who they affectionately referred to as Mad Dog, who passed away last week. Just an awful tragedy. We were heartbroken to hear it, and we just want to tell you guys to hang in there, as well as his family and friends, and just want to let you know how sorry we are about your loss, and just want to convey our sympathies and condolences. Again, terribly sorry to hear about the loss of your friend, brother, and family member, Maxim, a.k.a. Mad Dog. Wrapping up here, got a couple of non-hockey things to get to. Sad news about Bruce Willis. The legendary actor was diagnosed with aphasia. It's a condition that affects your ability to communicate, your cognitive ability, as I try to communicate. So he's essentially retired from acting. He has been making, sort of direct-to-video movies for the last couple of years. But yeah, just sad to see. This guy's a legend of the game. I mean, Die Hard, of course, made him one of the biggest stars on the planet back in 1988. And this is a guy, I don't know if you remember Murls, he was coming off of Moonlighting, a kind of a romantic comedy TV show, and you hear him starring this action thing, and people like, what? Bruce Willis, action star? And he come out and killed it. I mean, Die Hard, absolute blockbuster. Of course, he's made a bunch of other movies since. You have a particular favorite, Biz, Whit, Murls?
I'm a big Armageddon guy. I think it was a hell of a movie.
Great answer.
What are you laughing at? All right.
I'm just laughing because Armageddon's terrible. But no, sorry.
What?
Armageddon's a terrible movie.
I liked Armageddon.
It took me 7 different times to
good
watch
soundtrack too.
Hell of a soundtrack. I mean, it's not exactly like the most. It doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, why wouldn't you maybe train the astronauts to be oil drillers as opposed to training oil drillers to be astronauts? But the action, the ending, the music, you're a moron thinking.
Well, they got the job done, so obviously it was the right call.
And that's why we're here today, Paul, because it was a true story,
Yeah, I know. It's a great beginning to the movie when they're assembling all the guys too. Fuck, I'm gonna rewatch Armageddon, man. Hopefully they got it on my flight.
Sixth Sense was a great flick.
Yep. Yeah, that was another one I was gonna mention. Obviously, Pulp Fiction. His role as Butch Coolidge, the boxer, and what was it? Unbreakable, the other M. Night Shyamalan movie he did, where him and Sam Jackson, they were kind of, one was the hero, one was the bad guy. It was pretty good stuff.
He's done a gazillion movies, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's done quite a bit in the last few years too, because. Like I said, I'm
so from my understanding, like towards the end, he would just like come in and like he would have like a teleprompter and he would read the lines off and then boom, get out of there.
Yeah, it was kind of like a day of work, and I mentioned direct to video. I think he's still a big draw overseas, so if you have Bruce Willis on the box cover or on the whatever the video cover, people are still going to go out and rent it and buy it. But yeah, he would kind of show up and do one day of work and get paid. And
well,
I guess
it makes sense. Finding out he was sick, they probably knew, and trying to make some more money before you're going to be done completely. But that's awful. I'd never heard of that disease either, but it's terrible news.
Brutal.
Yeah, it is brutal. So best wishes to Bruce and his family. And thanks for an awesome career, man. The guy just exuded cool for so long. One guy who didn't exude cool for so long, Coach K down in Duke, he's fucking done. Out of here. Lost this game.
Yeah, so
last game to
I
UNC.
tweeted out the other night, like, I don't really follow college basketball. I've been in and out on Big Cat ripping on him, but sometimes you don't know what to believe with him and PMT because they just or PFT, excuse me. I always get those two mixed up. But he was handing out these cards. Did you read the wallet cards with
fact sheets?
So is Coach K actually like kind of a phony?
I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of him. I think just because everyone in fucking college basketball cheats, they're recruiting. It's well known that fucking they all pay these guys off. And Duke's never been fucking caught for some reason. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm slandering or libeling here, but I'd be shocked if they were playing up above and beyond because that's such a corrupt sport. So the fact that he's been kind of skating or been doing this for so long and has never gotten in trouble, and yeah, he's kind of arrogant. He's kind of like thrown guys under the bus over the years. He hasn't made himself, Paul, a very likable character. And then you add in the fact that Duke is this, blue blood rich school that not a lot of people go to.
They say it's the Harvard of the South.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that before, Biz.
But it's not like. I don't think it's a school that a lot of people are crazy about as well. So you add in that fact, and yeah, Duke and combined with Coach K, it's like a lot of people like that. Screw, man, we don't like you.
One of the thing on those fact sheets was when in his first year, the team wasn't very good, and after they got off to a slow start, what Big Cat claims is he kind of like faked an illness or an injury, and then the interim coach took over and had this horrible record. And typically, the head coach takes on that record, even though if the interim coach is leading the team. But the losses that he assembled never ended up making it on to Coach K's record.
Yeah, I think I think it's more about the questionable things he's done while also never really catching any shit from the media. My thing more is the tweet I sent is UNC Duke is the rivalry, probably the best rivalry in college basketball. It's Michigan, Ohio State in football. People who are Duke fans, and I don't know a ton about basketball, I think that's very clear, but I've looked into this. People who are Duke fans cannot say one thing to UNC Tar Heels fans. They are owned. They are absolutely owned forever. UNC has more national titles. They have more trips to the Final Four. They just beat Coach K in his final game at Cameron Indoor Stadium, embarrassed him. And then these two legendary rivals meet in the Final Four for the only time ever, and they beat him then to end the guy's complete career. And UNC has the greatest basketball player who ever went there. So when you're talking about rivalries, it's take the hammer, UNC, and take the nail, Duke. It's a fucking joke. People text me, they're 51-51 all time playing against each other. Dude, you just got embarrassed in the last home game of your legendary coach and the only time you've ever played in the NCAA tournament. You are losers compared to UNC. And I don't even have a dog in this fight. I don't even know anyone who went to either school. Actually, Caleb went to UNC. But there is no comparison whatsoever for those two programs. None.
Yeah, and apparently they've had the biggest heels as well. That Leitner.
Grayson Allen,
who was tripping everybody. So I've been digging a little bit more into it. And somebody actually sent me a longer fact sheet than what Big Cat had. So people have been adding on to it. So there was actually another year where the team had struggles out of the gate, and then he had like a back injury. That might be the gif of where he just crumbles over on the court. So I mean, this is pure comedy, and I would have to agree with you though. I tend to lean towards UNC, although I kind of want to jump on this Duke bandwagon just to fucking stir it up.
Well, you could kind of stay on brand and just root for both. Whoever goes farther.
Also, what too is if you didn't go to Duke, like how do you root for Duke? You know what I mean? It's like rooting for like Yankees, Lakers.
Oh, you mean Marty Mush didn't go to Duke?
You don't say.
Oh shit.
I just thought a couple more Bruce Willis movies. I should say I lied. I looked them up. The Last Boy Scout, kind of a cheesy like 80s style movie, even though it was from the 90s. Check that out. 12 Monkeys, him and Brad Pitt. You ever see that one? Sort of a
I never saw it.
Well, check it out, Biz. It's kind of a trippy movie. Nobody's Fool with Paul Newman, a good one. And then, of course, he was the voice of the baby in Look Who's Talking, which is a huge hit back in, I think it was 89, 90, whatever. And also, he was an extra, one of his first movie roles. with the Boston movie The Verdict with Paul Newman as well. He played an extra in one of the courthouse scenes. If you're watching it, you can see him in the background. So just want to give Bruce a little extra shout out. Didn't name enough movies for him there. All right, moving right along. F1 racing is going to Vegas in 2023. I sent you guys the course for the race. They're going to be racing at nighttime down the strip in Vegas. That thing is going to look unfucking believable. You guys ever been to a race? Anyone? Sorry, G.
Biz, you've been to F1 before, haven't you?
I went to the
He doesn't
F1 race in
remember a thing,
Montreal, but I was too busy trying to bang broads rather than watch the cars go round and round and round. I will say, very loud event. You got to wear those earmuffs. It's so loud. It's kind of annoyingly loud. And then it's kind of cool, though, afterward, after the guy wins the race, like everybody's allowed to walk the track. So you can just, like, on foot, like, jump over the gates, and they allow the fans to just walk it. Maybe that was only in Montreal, but I don't know how crazy the events are in other places, but the F1 race in Montreal, it put it on your bucket list and do a bachelor party for it. And it is top notch. The partying doesn't stop, and it's just the energy around is incredible. Mind you, I had Max Talbot bringing me around. I think Claude Giroux joined us that trip. Boyd Gordon was there, so we had like 10 NHL guys. Mike Commodore.
Didn't they let Talbot drive his Nissan Pumpkin on the course?
Oh yeah, no,
race?
he won the race. He won it. He won it. That was the story I told, and Max ended up getting us these Cirque du Soleil tickets. And yeah, not a bad accent there. RA's got a half chub after I said Cirque du Soleil. And we were all set in front row, and they had the girls who were the gymnasts who were in these like crazy outfits that would go like energize the crowd and do these dances after they were actually on stage performing. And one of them threw a piece of paper at Commodore, and then we unraveled it, and it was all the girls' names and numbers. And then you could see what they looked like in the programs. We never ended up meeting up with them, but it was
you didn't.
But we kept it cordial. But it was an incredible trip. Teddy Purcell was there as well. Let's just put it this way: I was supposed to leave Sunday. I left Tuesday. That's how long the trip ended up.
Yeah, I mean, just the visual on Vegas at nighttime, like bombing down the strip. I'm not even an auto racing guy, but I'm definitely going to check that out. They were supposed to do it in Boston a couple of years ago, but like everything else,
let's put it this way too. I burned more rubber than they did on the tires in the race that weekend.
Yeah, you were rubbers, yeah, Sonk. This is kind of a funny story. Merriam-Webster, the longtime dictionary company, they have a Twitter handle. They actually explained what key bumps are on their Twitter handle this week, Biz.
Oh, nice.
Well, I guess there was some dipshit politicians in D.C. I guess one of them said something about key bumps. So Merriam-Webster said, people are talking about key bumps, and so we have a duty to tell you some things about this. Mind you, this is one of the most reputable dictionaries in the world. A bump in this context may be defined as a small quantity of an illicit drug when inhaled in powdered form at one time. We do not enter key bump as a fixed phrase, as it has not yet demonstrated wide currency of use. You may, if you choose, refer to small amounts of drugs sniffed off a key as key bumps, but there is something you should be aware of. This use of key is what we call an attributive noun. You can read more about it here. It's just that's the world we live in now. We got dictionaries explaining fucking cocaine use.
He doesn't know the Zucker injury, but he knows about this key bump story. How the fuck did this make the outline?
I have no idea. I stopped listening.
I know. All right. I will finish with this then, Biz. This is more up your alley.
Okay.
Sydney Sweeney off the HBO show Euphoria. Apparently her grandparents said she had, quote, the best tits in Hollywood. They watched her show, and I guess if the grandmother says it, that's one thing, because, I don't know, women saying complimenting tits is
Maybe
one thing.
the grandfather has her OnlyFans.
Yeah, I was going to say, but Grandpa chiming in, a little awkward there.
Didn't we talk about that last week in the pod?
No, we just talked about the OnlyFans girl who found out her dad was
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was subscribed.
But I, for one, will not disagree with Sydney Sweeney's grandparents, though, just for the record.
Do you watch Euphoria?
Absolutely.
Great
Really?
show.
Terrific show,
Great
yeah.
show.
No, I've heard a lot of good things about it. I also heard that it's maybe for like the younger generation.
That's shit idiots online say, oh, you watch a fucking show about high school kids. It's like, who gives a fuck? If something's well acted, well written, well shot, and is entertaining and good,
Armageddon?
Ha! Fuck that. No, Euphoria, awesome show, dude. And by the way, Zendaya she's going to win another fucking Emmy this year. Like one of the episode in particular, if you watch it this year, one of the best performances in our show I've ever seen in the history of TV. And I say that with no fucking qualms.
Yeah, she's the it girl, I guess.
Phenomenal actress. And the show, it's about high school kids, but there are so many themes about, other things going on, addiction, and, kids are exposed to nowadays. It's a terrific show, and I know it's got its detractors, but highly recommend it.
Oh, so it's more about...
It's a horrific show?
No, terrific show. Terrific show.
Go into more detail. Like, are these kids like crushing each other every episode?
Oh yeah. And it was, I would say early on, maybe more about the kids and what they're into. But this season really kind of honed in on Zendaya.
Does it talk about social media fucking up with their heads?
Oh God, yeah. And I'm sure it's an exaggerated form. I know it's not every fucking young kid out there these days, but it's definitely a jumping off point. And again, like I was just saying, this season really kind of got into the addiction aspect, which. We all know people in this day and age who have problems, and you can't talk about that stuff too much. But they really got like some scenes where like, holy fuck,
what
man,
specifically?
This is just how awful
drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically?
What specific drugs?
Yes.
I think opiates were this year.
Heroin, cocaine.
Yeah.
She does
all
everything.
of them. But this year,
high school kids shoot heroin.
If you have kids watching this show,
that too. But it's, it's real world stuff. But it was Zendaya is the one who's an addict, and she went through the ringer. I think as an actress this year, tremendous fucking season from her this year. You got to watch it, dude. I don't keep talking about it, but
I got a good show. I was watching. I think it's a 5-part. I'm through episode 3. We Crashed, which is an Apple TV show. It's about basically what happened and the entire backstory of WeWork. And if you don't know what WeWork is, it's communal working space. It's a giant building where people can kind of rent out a little tiny office, but it was more about community and trying to be like a family. And it's a wild story. Jared Leto plays he's a good actor. He's a creepy, he can really dive into these roles. He plays this guy, Adam Newman, who began WeWork. And who's the actress who plays his wife? She was in Devil's Wear Prada.
Emily Blunt?
No.
Anne Hathaway?
Anne Hathaway plays his wife. Through 3 episodes, it's pretty good. It's an interesting story. The guy was a wacko. So was the girl. I don't really know how it's going to end because I'm just through episode 3, but I recommend the show. It's good. Apple TV.
All right, boys. I think that about wraps it up. I know What Dog's going to take off soon. Murls, you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm looking to go to negotiations with Biz over lunch today. Maybe another contract for the Big Deal Selects or not. It's coming soon. Free agency is here. Now that I'm back, I'm a professional hockey player. I may have some extra offers from some other clubs. So,
and Buffalo. You've drank a lot of beers in Buffalo.
I have spent a lot of time on Chippewa Street. I've had a lot of good times there. I'm very excited to get back there, and I guess the whole downtown. I haven't really seen the Harbor Center. I guess it's amazing. It's gonna be quite the show. I know all the spots we can hit. The late night Jim Stakeout is one of the top after bar food places in the world.
And it will be July 22nd, July 23rd, and we're going to have a ton of information coming soon on our social channels. You can also go to chicletscup.com for more info.
So all you online tough guys can sign up, enjoy the A division and ball hockey, and I'm going to fucking bend you over. No spit, no loop.
Just one last reminder, the folks in Ontario, the score.bet is the app to check out if you're looking to get into the gaming community. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week, everybody.